Chapter 2632. Return to the Academy. Huang Qir's jade slip only had 3 words on it. Huang Qir came from the Tao-seeking Academy. It was obvious that she was going back. Smack! Huang Qir threw the jade slip on the ground angrily. What rubbish is this? I don't want to go back to the Academy. To Huang Qir's surprise, a spatial array enveloped her after she threw the jade slip on the ground. Huang Qir's expression changed drastically. Big brother Tang Ao, save me. I don't want to go back to the Academy. I'm bored to death. Huang Qir's figure disappeared as soon as she finished speaking. Tang Ao could tell that it was a top-notch teleportation array, a 7th-grade immortal array. Seeing this, Tang Ao and Luo Shi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Senior brother 11th, where are you going? I'm going to the Nanli realm, but I won't join the Nanli Dao Palace. I'm going to Nanli City to train for a long time. Nanli City is a city used to defend against the demon race. There are cultivators stationed there all year round to defend against the demon race. Therefore, I'm going there to train. Junior brother Tang Ao, do you want to come with me? Luo Shi's jade slip only had 4 words on it. Make your own arrangements. True experts all had their own paths. Regardless of whether it was an academy or a sect, they were all capable of nurturing first-rate experts. However, those top-notch experts that sought to ascend to the heavens and the earth, without exception, all of them had continuously explored and moved forward over the endless years to finally ascend to the peak of the Grand Tao. I have some matters to attend to in the Langya realm. When I'm done, I'll go to the Nanli realm to have a drink with senior brother Luo. Tang Ao still had to cultivate the sword-refined fruit. It was said that there were large beast bones in the realm of unbounded desolation in the Langya realm. Tang Ao had already prepared all the other treasures needed to cultivate the sword-refined fruit. All he was missing was the large beast bone. After chatting with Luo Shi for a while, Tang Ao and Silvermoon came to a lake in the Chamber of Immortal Ruins. The Chamber of Immortal Ruins headquarters was located in a bustling city. There were 4 cities in the east, south, west, and north. The Tower of Immortal Ruins floated in the air, emitting waves of mysterious light. There was a huge lake in the inner city. It was the Lake of Immortal Ruins that Tang Ao and Silvermoon saw. Silvermoon used to come here often. Silvermoon felt that this place was very peaceful. As she held hands with Tang Ao as they took a stroll around the Lake of the Immortal Ruins, Silvermoon's heart was filled with sweetness. However, as Tang Ao and Silvermoon were chatting and laughing, a red-robed young man suddenly walked over to Tang Ao. It didn't take long for him to block Tang Ao's path. Are you Tang Ao? The young man immediately asked after blocking Tang Ao's path. Tang Ao is your father? Tang Ao didn't answer but asked back. Tang Ao's words caused the red-robed young man to be stumped. The Heavenly Fate Board was erected in the public square of the Ruins of Immortality, and although the rankings were determined by the accumulated points, Tang Ao, who was ranked 3rd, was still extremely eye-catching. In the top 20 of the Destiny list, only Tang Ao and Huang Qir were astral-reaching realm martial artists. Huang Qir had a powerful background, and no one dared to mess with her. Therefore, these people's gazes naturally landed on Tang Ao. What do you mean? After thinking for a while, not knowing what Tang Ao meant, the red-robed young man asked in confusion. Tang Ao is not your father. Why do you care so much about Tang Ao? Tang Ao said in a serious tone. Hearing Tang Ao's words, Silvermoon couldn't help but laugh. She didn't expect that Tang Ao would be so funny when he was not serious. Qi Qing had originally thought that Tang Ao was only at the 5th level of astral reaching realm, yet he was ranked 3rd on the destiny list. He was jealous and wanted to teach Tang Ao a lesson. However, he didn't expect that before he could do anything, he would be played by Tang Ao. You're looking for death. As Qi Qing spoke, he raised his hand and punched towards Tang Ao. There were quite a lot of people around the Immortal Ruins Lake. Many of them knew the grandson of the 3rd Elder, Qi Qing. Seeing him attack Tang Ao, Everyone knew that Tang Ao was going to be out of luck. The third elder had lost his son in his old age, and Qi Qing was the only one left in the Qi family. Therefore, he had doted on Qi Qing ever since he was a child. Whether it was in the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce or outside, people who knew of Qi Qing's identity would always show him some respect. Piss off! Without any hesitation, Tang Ao lifted his leg and kicked Qi Qing away. Qi Qing fell into the lake of the Immortal Ruins. Tang Ao was really annoyed by people like Qi Qing. If it weren't in the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce, and if someone provoked Tang Ao like this, it wouldn't be as simple as a kick. Chapter 26:33. Tang Ao sighed and shook his head. Qi Qing's technique was quite powerful, but it was a pity that he didn't learn it well. He was too unfamiliar with the technique. Tang Ao had already made his move, but he hadn't used the technique yet. Even if he hadn't run into Tang Ao, he wouldn't have been a match for any other martial artist on the destiny list. Tang Ao, just you wait. This isn't over. After drinking a few mouthfuls of lake water, Qi Qing leaped out of the lake. Just as he was about to leave, he saw a purple lightning condensed in Tang Ao's hand. Qi Qing was somewhat afraid of Tang Ao. In the Immortal Ruin Chamber of Commerce, other martial artists didn't dare to offend him because of his identity. However, he didn't expect that Tang Ao didn't care about his identity at all. After teaching Qi Qing a lesson, Tang Ao and Silvermoon continued walking. A clown like Qi Qing, Tang Ao did not take him seriously at all. Are you going to Dao Seeking Academy to cultivate? Silvermoon's cultivation at Dao Seeking Academy was arranged by the Immortal Ruin Chamber of Commerce. Of course, Silvermoon was already at the 9th level of Astral Reaching Realm. If she reached the Yin-Yang realm, she could also cultivate at Southly Dao Palace. Although Southly Dao Palace is more suitable for Yin-Yang realm martial artists to cultivate, I'll stay at Dao Seeking Academy until the Heavenly Dao trials open. What plans do you have? Do you want to come with me to the Dao Seeking Academy? Apart from Huang Qir, the other 9 experts could make their own arrangement. Tang Ao scanned the surroundings with his soul remembrance. After confirming that there was no one around, Tang Ao sent a sound transmission to Silvermoon. I have a sword refining fruit. I plan to go to the unbounded desolation realm to look for an emperor beast's bone and cultivate it. You actually obtained a sword refining fruit? Silvermoon looked at Tang Ao with a face full of astonishment. The sword refining fruit was a heavenly treasure that had been extinct for tens of thousands of years. It had a fatal attraction for sword cultivators because it could cultivate immortal swords that were most suitable for sword cultivators. Most of the immortal artifacts used by martial artists were ordinary immortal artifacts. Only an extremely small number of martial artists could possess a natal immortal artifact refined from pure gold sand. An immortal artifact refined from pure gold sand could be absorbed into the spirit sea to be nurtured, allowing it to grow alongside the martial artist. However, the natal immortal artifact made of pure gold sand was also the lowest grade natal immortal artifact. An immortal artifact forged from a heavenly treasure like the sword refining fruit was the best natal immortal artifact. Unfortunately, treasures of the heavens and the earth like this were extremely rare, and it was even to the extent that most of them had already gone extinct. Thus, it wasn't easy to obtain an immortal artifact forged from pure gold sand. Someone like Tang Ao, who could mass-produce scarlet gold immortal artifacts, was a freakish existence. Back then, Song Qiufeng already had some knowledge, but Song Qiufeng still didn't know how terrifying Tang Ao's value was. If it hadn't been Song Qiufeng who had made a deal with Tang Ao back then, but Tang Ao might have already been captured and locked up for artifact forging. Because Tang Ao was ranked 3rd on the Destiny list, and Silvermoon was ranked 30th on the Destiny list, both of them had cave abodes in the City of Immortal Ruins. In fact, all the martial artists on the Destiny list had cave abodes, but the higher the ranking, the better the cave abode. For example, Tang Ao's cave abode was a small world of its own. The immortal spiritual energy inside was extremely rich, and there was a small lake. The cave abode wasn't far from the small lake, and there were many herb fields for Tang Ao to grow immortal spiritual herbs. In the pavilion in the middle of the lake, Silvermoon leaned against Tang Ao, staring at the fish in the water in a daze. Chapter 26:34. The end of cultivation might be the God-King realm, or there might be no end to cultivation at all. Tang Ao was a little lost in thought. If he had seen the fragments of the Law of Fire, Tang Ao would have said with certainty that the end of cultivation was the God-King realm. However, after seeing so many God-Kings fall while competing for the eternal Tao fruit, Tang Ao realized that the God-Kings who stood at the peak of the true Force realm weren't immortal. The chaotic hexagram mirror Tang Ao had now came from a top-tier God-King, the Chaos God-King. However, even an expert as strong as the Chaos God-King had fallen in the end. Then what do you think the purpose of cultivation is? Silvermoon was from the Moon Clan and knew a lot of ancient secrets. However, she still didn't know that so many God-Kings were competing for the eternal Tao fruit. Of course, it is to protect. This time, Tang Ao answered very quickly. As he spoke, Tang Ao hugged Silvermoon tightly. Feeling the softness and warmth in his arms, Tang Ao wanted to go to the Tao-seeking academy instead of the desolate and lonely realm of unbounded desolation. After a day of cuddling with Silvermoon, Tang Ao and Silvermoon arrived at the teleportation platform of the Ruins of Immortality. The teleportation platform was an 8th-grade immortal formation built on a broken 9th-grade ancient formation. In theory, as long as one paid the right price, one could teleport to any place in the True Force realm. For example, the expedition of the Ruins of Immortality to the desolate martial realm last time had done so. Most of the martial practitioners on the Destiny list had left through the teleportation platform. Even Luo Shi had teleported here. Tang Ao saw that Luo Shi wasn't alone. There were 2 men and a woman beside Luo Shi. Tang Ao knew all 3 of them. The one with the long hair tied up in a bun and dressed in coarse linen clothes was Marshal Tomb. Despite being the top ranker of the Heavenly Fate rankings, Wu Mu wasn't someone who stood out like a sore thumb. On the contrary, his appearance was extremely ordinary, and he even seemed a little sluggish. It wasn't easy to imagine that such a person was the top ranker of the Heavenly Fate rankings, an existence who had followed Elder Azura and killed an elder of the blood race. The person beside Wu Mu had a well-proportioned figure and an imposing appearance. Such a person would attract countless gazes no matter where he went. This person was ranked number 2 on the Heavenly Fate rankings, Li Chunfeng. The girl beside Li Chunfeng was called Xueziu, ranked number 4 on the Heavenly Fate list. Although she was ranked number 4, the difference in points between her and Tang Ao was extremely small. Brother Tang Ao. When Luo 11 saw Tang Ao, he walked over enthusiastically and looked at Tang Ao and Silvermoon with a faint smile. Luo 11 knew that Tang Ao was determined not to go to the Nanli boundary. Senior brother Luo, you seem to have something to say? Tang Ao asked after Luo Shi came over. I wanted to say something, but I don't want to say it now. Luo 11 smiled bitterly and shook his head. Why is that? Tang Ao asked doubtfully. As you can see, Marshal Tomb and I are preparing to join forces to train in the Nanli boundary. I wanted to call you along, but when I saw you in my arms, I couldn't move. Luo 11 sighed in his heart. Tang Ao's luck with women was too good. Chapter 26:35. Ha ha ha! Hearing Luo Shi's words, Tang Ao burst into laughter. Then, Tang Ao said, Senior brother Luo, when the heavenly trials are over, I might have to invite you to my wedding. Tang Ao not going to the South Parting Realm was not what Luo Shi had imagined. Although Tang Ao did not want to part with Silvermoon, What Tang Ao wanted to do right now was to increase his cultivation. Tang Ao's luck was not bad. He had not been discovered by the Yuan magnetic field yet. Apart from the Yuan magnetic field, Huachongjiu had not shown up. However, be it protomagnetic or Huachongjiu, the current Tang Ao would not be able to deal with any one of them. In fact, Tang Ao would not even have the chance to escape. Thus, Tang Ao desperately wanted to improve his strength. Going to the South Parting Realm was not a bad idea. If Tang Ao was also a Yin-Yang Realm warrior, then going with Luo Shi and the others to the South Parting Realm would be very good. Unfortunately, although Tang Ao was at the 5th level of Astral Reaching Realm, he was still too weak. After sending off Luo Shi, Tang Ao and Silvermoon also arrived at the transportation platform. After arriving at the transportation array, Silvermoon stepped onto the platform, then turned around and asked, "Will you come to find me?" "Yes, I will." Tang Ao nodded. Tang Ao estimated that after cultivating the sword refining fruit, he should be free. "When will you come to find me?" Silvermoon continued to ask. "I don't know." This time, Tang Ao really could not say for sure. There was an Emperor Beast bone in the Unbounded Desolation region, but there was no specific location, only a general area. Moreover, after so many years, Tang Ao did not know whether it was still there or not. The Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce also had Emperor Beast bone powder, but the quantity was far from enough. This was because after obtaining an Emperor Beast bone, it was usually used to forge weapons. Grinding the bone into powder was really a waste of resources. On the other hand, demon beasts at the Chaotic Heaven stage were far more powerful and intelligent than ordinary Chaotic Heaven stage powerhouses. Therefore, Chaotic Heaven stage powerhouses wouldn't be willing to provoke these great demons if there wasn't a need. As a result, the number of Emperor Beast bones was even rarer. "If you don't come find me in 3 years, I'll kill you the next time I see you," Silvermoon said to Tang Ao as she pulled out the short sword from her waist. Seeing her like this, Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I've already told you what I'm going to do. Once I'm done, I'll definitely come find you. As for the time, I'm really not sure." "I don't care. It's decided." After Silvermoon finished speaking, she didn't give Tang Ao a chance to refute. The transmission array flashed, and Silvermoon disappeared. Tang Ao shook his head. He really couldn't reason with women. However, if Tang Ao wanted to go to the realm of unbounded desolation, he wouldn't be able to use it. The ruins of Immortal's teleportation array covered most of the true martial realm, but there were a few places that weren't covered by it. The realm of unbounded desolation, which Tang Ao wanted to go to, was one of them. The reason why the teleportation array couldn't connect to the realm of unbounded desolation wasn't because it wasn't connected to the realm of unbounded desolation. On the contrary, the teleportation array had been built on a dilapidated ancient teleportation array, which was connected to the realm of unbounded desolation. Unfortunately, a part of the ancient teleportation array's spell formation had been damaged, so it couldn't teleport to the realm of unbounded desolation. Chapter 2636. Apart from the teleportation portal in the City of Immortality, there were also some ordinary teleportation portals that could take one to the periphery of the realm of unbounded desolation. However, Tang Ao might as well just fly over there instead of going around in circles. Although the Langyur realm had countless continents and immortal cities, it could be divided into 2 parts. One part was the realm of unbounded desolation, and the other part was the other realms. The realm of unbounded desolation occupied 60% of the Langyur realm. The realm of unbounded desolation was vast and rich in natural resources. However, demonic beasts could be seen everywhere. Therefore, most cultivators had a love-hate relationship with the realm of unbounded desolation. After Tang Ao used the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud to fly for a while, he finally stopped in Celestial River City. Flying from the city of immortality to the realm of unbounded desolation was almost across the entire Langya realm. Previously, Tang Ao wasn't very clear about how big the Langya realm was. After flying for 3 months and only covering 1/10 of the distance, Tang Ao felt that it was a joke for Silvermoon to ask him to find her within 3 years. Tang Ao had only covered 1/10 of the distance, but it had already taken him 3 months. This was under the condition that Tang Ao had been rushing at full speed without encountering any trouble. However, even at this speed, it would still take Tang Ao 30 months to reach the realm of unbounded desolation. The round trip would take 60 months, which was a full 5 years' time. Of course, it was impossible for Tang Ao's cultivation to remain stagnant during these 5 years. If Tang Ao was lucky enough to break through to the Yin-Yang realm, it would only take Tang Ao a few hours to cross the Langya realm with the Purple Thunder Heavenly Escape. When Tang Ao's cultivation base reached the Celestial Chaos realm, Tang Ao would be able to cross the entire Langya realm in a breath's time, just like Remembrance of the 9 Heavens. However, that was still too far away for Tang Ao. What Tang Ao needed to do now was to go to the Star River City and take a boat. Although Tang Ao's Wind Thunder Dark Cloud was not bad, it was a pity that it was a defective product. Tang Ao originally wanted to repair the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud, but now that he had the Purple Thunder Heavenly Escape, Tang Ao knew that there was no need to repair the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud. Moreover, wanting to repair the Wind Thunder Nether Cloud was not a simple matter either. Tang Ao even suspected that the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud that Hades the Arch had used back then was also a defective product. It was just that the Wind Thunder Dark Cloud back then wasn't as damaged as it was now. The Star River City was where the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce's branch in the Langya world was located. There were no void battleships in the Star River City, but there were ferries. Although the name of the ferry didn't sound like much, the speed of the ferry couldn't be underestimated. With Tang Ao's current cultivation base, it would take him roughly 30 months to cross Langya World. However, the Sky Ferryboat only needed 3 months to cross Langya World. Its speed was 10 times faster than Tang Ao's. Moreover, after taking the Sky Ferryboat, Tang Ao could use the time to cultivate. It's just that taking the Sky Ferryboat would cost him some immortal crystals. As they got closer to the Star River City, Tang Ao also descended from the sky. Because there were ferryboats flying over the Star River City from time to time, flying was prohibited around the Star River City. In the surrounding space, Tang Ao saw a special forbidden sky restriction. With Tang Ao's current attainments in the Array Dao, Tang Ao could completely ignore these forbidden sky restrictions. However, Tang Ao didn't do so. Tang Ao came here to take the ferry, not to cause trouble. Chapter 2637. The entire Star River City was built with gorgeous white star stone and looked extremely luxurious. The white star stone was a kind of immortal material, and its grade was very high, reaching the terrifying 6th grade. Unfortunately, this 6th grade immortal material had no use at all. Regardless of its hardness or toughness, it was not enough to be used for refining weapons, nor was it useful for alchemy. Even Tang Ao did not know why such a material was classified as a 6th grade immortal material. "Friend, may I know where to buy a ticket for the ferry?" Tang Ao stopped a martial artist, cupped his fists, and asked. The Star River City was really too big, and there were many restrictions. Even though Tang Ao's soul was very strong, after looking around, Tang Ao still could not see where to buy a ticket. "I don't know where you want to go. If you are going to an ordinary place, then you can cross 3 more streets and reach the central square, and you will see the ticket office of the Star River City. Of course, if you want to go to some special place, then you will need to buy a ticket at the auction." This martial artist was a martial artist of the Star River City, so he knew the city very well. "Thank you for telling me. I want to go to the unbounded desolation realm. Should I buy a ticket at the ticket office or go to the auction?" Since he had met someone who knew so much about the Star River City, Tang Ao decided to ask in one go. Otherwise, if he went to the ticket office and could not buy a ticket, it would simply be a waste of time. You want to go to the unbounded desolation realm? The blue-robed young man looked at Tang Ao as if he was looking at a monster. It was not that there was no ferry to the unbounded desolation realm, but that the ferry to the unbounded desolation realm was really special. Although it was said that there were countless opportunities in the unbounded desolation realm and treasures everywhere, even a fool knew that this was a lie. In the real situation in the unbounded desolation realm, there were indeed countless opportunities, but there were also many demonic beasts and evil cultivators. The death rate of martial artists in the unbounded desolation realm was as high as 90%. It was true that one could find opportunities in the unbounded desolation realm. However, most of the martial artists either died in the unbounded desolation realm, or stayed in the unbounded desolation realm for a long time without finding anything. Exactly. Tang Ao didn't pay attention to the change in the martial artist's expression, because on his way here, Tang Ao had heard many rumors about the realm of unbounded desolation. However, Tang Ao didn't take it to heart. There were all kinds of rumors about the realm of unbounded desolation. Although they were all messy, one thing was clear. The realm of unbounded desolation was indeed a land of treasures. It was just that it was rather difficult to obtain treasures in the realm of unbounded desolation. Ever since Tang Ao started training, he had always been one to face difficulties head-on. If he had given up because of a little bit of difficulty, then Tang Ao would not be a peak level 5 astral reaching realm warrior. He might have already become a pile of bones somewhere. Tickets to the realm of unbounded desolation have to be auctioned in the Starry River auction, which is located in the tallest building up ahead. Furthermore, the ferry to the realm of unbounded desolation would open once every 100 years, and 10 tickets would be auctioned every year. You're out of luck. This time, it's the 100-year deadline. The ferry is about to depart. Chapter 2638. In this way, the cultivators who wanted to go to the unbounded desolation would definitely bid crazily for the last 10 tickets. This gave Tang Ao a headache. Tang Ao had already used up all the immortal crystals he had obtained from the Chamber of Commerce in the Immortal Ruins. Right now, Tang Ao's pockets were even paler than his face. With his wealth, Tang Ao believed that it wouldn't be a problem for him to buy a ticket if it weren't for this special period. But now, if Tang Ao didn't make some preparations, it would be very difficult for him to bid for a ticket. After pondering for a while, Tang Ao asked again, one last question. Does the Star River auction everything or just ship tickets? Ha, where did this wild boy come from? Of course, the Star River auction will auction everything. You don't even know this. The one who spoke was not the blue-robed youth that Tang Ao had asked, but a young man in luxurious clothes who was passing by. This young man was waving a folding fan in his hand, trying to create an elegant atmosphere. However, his temperament was too poor, and his aura was too feminine. No matter how he tried, it was incompatible with his elegant appearance. This is young Master Shao Qian of the Celestial Dragon City. Don't talk back to him. Perhaps he was worried that Tang Ao would have a conflict with this young man in luxurious clothes, so the blue-robed youth sent a message to Tang Ao. There were too many people like Shao Qian in the True Force realm, so Tang Ao was too lazy to deal with them. However, Tang Ao had a good impression of this blue-robed youth. He had stopped him and asked him so many questions, but he didn't look impatient. When he met Shao Qian, he took the initiative to tell Tang Ao that Shao Qian had a powerful background and that he shouldn't make enemies with him. Ha, my name is Tang Ao. I will stay in the Star River City before the ship departs. If you have any difficulties, you can come to the Star River Tower to find me. This is for you, take it as a reward for asking for directions. Tang Ao said, and took out a jade bottle and handed it to the blue-robed youth. Lu Ming didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he saw Tang Ao pass a bottle of pills to him. The reason why he answered Tang Ao so patiently was not because he coveted Tang Ao's reward, but because the Lu family treated him well. The reason why he didn't know whether to laugh or cry when he received Tang Ao's elixir was because the Lu clan was a family of elixirs. The three great elixir emperors of Langya world were once disciples of the Lu clan. Although the Lu family's alchemy Dao was no longer as good as before, and there was no alchemy emperor powerhouse holding down the fort, the Lu family's martial artists still did not lack medicinal pills. Just as he was about to return the pill to Tang Ao, Lu Ming discovered that Tang Ao had already disappeared. Lu Ming's powerful soul remembrance immediately expanded outwards. Lu Ming couldn't see through Tang Ao's cultivation, but he could sense that Tang Ao's age should be similar to his, or even younger. Therefore, Tang Ao's cultivation was definitely not too high. After all, although he had the cultivation of astral reaching realm level 7, he was not even 1,000 years old yet. 1,000 years was already 10 reincarnations for mortals, but for astral reaching realm warriors, it was only a part of their lives. Astral reaching realm warriors had a lifespan of 100,000 years, so 1,000 years was nothing to them. Chapter 2639. After feeling that Tang Ao was extraordinary, Lu Ming also subconsciously opened the jade bottle in his hand. With just a casual glance, Lu Ming hurriedly closed the jade bottle. At the same time, Lu Ming's hands were trembling. Lu Ming was born in an alchemy family. For a pill to make Lu Ming lose his composure like this, it was obvious that this pill was extraordinary. What Tang Ao gave Lu Ming was not an ordinary medicinal pill, but a yin-yang dual extreme pill. If it was an ordinary martial artist, it would be extremely difficult for them to obtain a yin-yang twin extremities pill. Therefore, many martial artists had no way of obtaining the yin-yang dual extremities pill when breaking through to the next realm. They could only settle for the profound yin-yang pill. But Lu Ming was different. Lu Ming was born in the world of pills, and his ancestor even had a Tier 9 pill emperor. Even though they were in decline, it was still not difficult for them to obtain the yin-yang dual extreme pill. However, the medicinal pill in Lu Ming's hand was the king-grade yin-yang extreme pill. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Lu Ming wouldn't have believed that such a pill existed in this world. The extreme yin-yang pill was a Tier 4 immortal pill, but even a Tier 7 pill emperor wouldn't dare to say that he could concoct a king-grade extreme yin-yang pill. A low-grade yin-yang dual extremities pill could increase a martial artist's chances of breaking through to the yin-yang realm by 10%. A middle-grade pill could increase it by 20%, a high-grade pill could increase it by 30%, and a supreme-grade pill could barely increase it by 50%. However, the king-grade yin-yang dual extreme pill could increase the chances of entering the yin-yang realm by 90%. As long as one had a king-level yin-yang dual extreme pill, it was equivalent to this martial artist already having half a foot in the yin-yang realm. After reaching the astral reaching realm level 9, as long as he took this pellet, he would definitely be able to reach the yin-yang realm. Lu Ming didn't know how Tang Ao obtained this yin-yang dual extreme pill, but the appearance of every king-level yin-yang dual extreme pill was a first-class event. Without any hesitation, Lu Ming returned to his family. Of course, Tang Ao didn't know that his medicinal pill was regarded so highly by Lu Ming. If Tang Ao had known this earlier, Tang Ao would have given Lu Ming a few more. Tang Ao had a pretty good impression of Lu Ming. At this moment, Tang Ao had already arrived at the Celestial River auction. During this time, Tang Ao had accumulated a lot of things that he could not use. Since he couldn't use them, and he was in time for the auction, he naturally had to put them all up for auction. There were not many people who came to the Star River Commerce to auction their treasures, because today was the last day. If there were any treasures to be auctioned, they would have already done so. When Tang Ao walked into the hall, he could only see a few cultivators hurriedly coming out of the appraisal room before leaving in a hurry. Following the number plate in his hand, Tang Ao arrived at the door of an appraisal room. The appraisal rooms of the Star River Trade Union were divided into 3 grades: high, medium, and low. Even though the items that Tang Ao wanted to auction were items that Tang Ao did not use much, they were not ordinary treasures. Thus, Tang Ao specially spent 10,000 intermediate-grade immortal crystals to make an appointment with a high-grade appraisal master. After confirming that this was the place, Tang Ao swiped the wooden plate in his hand at the restriction in front of him. Immediately, the restriction slowly opened. However, what made Tang Ao a bit confused was that the appraisal master he had made an appointment with was clearly a white-bearded old man. Why was there a woman reading a book in the appraisal room? Chapter 2640. Although the girl's words were modest, Tang Ao could still see that there was a hint of pride in her eyes. Tang Ao secretly smiled. He didn't expect to meet such an interesting girl when he was just here to auction something. Tang Ao immediately felt playful. After pondering for a moment, Tang Ao took out a copper piece and handed it over. This copper piece was the size of a palm. There were a few complicated and incomplete seals on one side and a line of small words on the other side. Mysterious bronze cauldron fragment. Good stuff. It is said that the mysterious bronze cauldron is a sacred object of the mysterious cauldron realm. However, a few experts passed by the mysterious cauldron realm and took a fancy to it. After a huge battle, the mysterious cauldron realm was destroyed and the mysterious bronze cauldron was smashed into dozens of pieces by the experts. This fragment of yours is well preserved. A conservative estimate is at least 10 million mid-grade immortal crystals. Tang Ao was secretly shocked. Tang Ao knew that this was a fragment of the mysterious bronze cauldron. Therefore, Tang Ao took out this fragment of the mysterious bronze cauldron just to tease the girl. However, Tang Ao didn't expect that the girl could tell the origin of the mysterious bronze cauldron with just one look. This was too scary. However, Tang Ao quickly realized that the more detailed Bai Lu was, the more research she had on this item. Therefore, Tang Ao guessed that this mysterious bronze cauldron was a treasure that Bai Lu paid a lot of attention to. Therefore, she could tell at a glance. If he changed it to another item, perhaps Bai Lu wouldn't know. Tang Ao immediately put away the copper piece and took out a fiery red stone. This fiery red stone had a scorching aura circulating around it. It was completely red and slightly transparent. This kind of stone would not appear in a high-level place like the true martial domain. Although there were some in low-level places, they were very few. This is a sacred yang stone. Why do you have this thing? Bai Lu's eyes widened. She didn't expect to actually see a sacred yang stone. The sacred yang stone was only a 9th-grade spiritual material. It wasn't even a 1st-grade immortal material. However, the holy yang stone didn't exist in a high-level plane like the true martial realm. Tang Ao felt a buzz in his head. How did this little girl know everything? This was indeed a holy sunstone. It was a small piece left over from when Tang Ao had advanced to the nether flame. Because it wasn't very useful, Tang Ao had casually placed it in his storage ring. Tang Ao hadn't expected Bai Lu to be so heaven-defying as to even know about the holy sunstone. This time, Tang Ao was a little unconvinced. Tang Ao didn't believe that such a little girl could really know all the treasures. Tang Ao took out a moonlight stone. This moonlight stone was naturally refined by Tang Ao in the mystic lunar mirror space. This is something extracted from the essence of the moon essence. The guy who extracted it thought he was clever and thought that he had gathered all the essence of the moon essence together. In reality, he had destroyed the laws of heaven and earth within the moon essence. This stone has wasted at least 100 portions of the moon essence, Bai Lu said seriously as she looked at the stone in her hand. Hearing Bai Lu's words, Tang Ao's face turned red. This was because Tang Ao was the guy who thought he was clever. At first, Tang Ao had indeed thought that he had removed all the impurities from the moon essence and fused the essence of the moon essence together to obtain the moonlight stone. However, after Tang Ao had a deeper understanding of the Tao of Fire and Tao of Thunder, Tang Ao knew that Bai Lu was right. Chapter 2641. Seeing that Bai Lu could even recognize the moonlight stone, Tang Ao didn't continue to take out other items. Bai Lu was indeed knowledgeable and knew about many treasures that others didn't. This time, Tang Ao took out a scarlet gold spear. By now, Tang Ao was even more aware of the value of a scarlet gold immortal artifact. Before he had the ability to protect himself, even if Tang Ao wanted to sell scarlet gold immortal artifacts, he wouldn't dare to sell them in large quantities. Scarlet gold immortal artifacts could be said to be a very special type of immortal artifact. As long as the purity of the scarlet gold immortal artifact was high enough and the array patterns were perfect, it could be auctioned for a satisfactory price regardless of the grade. After Tang Ao took out the scarlet gold immortal artifact, Bai Lu also looked at it with interest. In recent years, there had been a type of blacksmiths who didn't have much attainments in blacksmithing but had the ability to disguise substandard scarlet gold immortal artifacts as high-grade ones. They used some high-level inscription arrays to confuse the public. After Bai Lu used her psyche to carefully examine the scarlet gold spear that Tang Ao had forged, she immediately knew that the scarlet gold spear that Tang Ao had forged could be considered a top-grade scarlet gold immortal artifact. The lower the impurities in the scarlet gold sand, the greater the potential of the scarlet gold immortal artifact. The scarlet gold spear that Tang Ao had forged was only a grade 4 immortal artifact, but it had been forged using the spiritual refinement technique. What surprised Bai Lu the most was that there were less than 10% impurities in the crimson gold spear. One had to know that as long as 10% of the impurities in the scarlet gold sand could be refined into a scarlet gold immortal artifact. It was Bai Lu's first time seeing a scarlet gold immortal artifact that could remove 90% of the impurities like Tang Ao did. The quality of this scarlet gold spear is very good. It can be sold for at least 30,000 intermediate-grade immortal crystals. Did you forge this crimson gold spear? Bai Lu played with the crimson gold spear and asked seriously. After sensing that Bai Lu meant no harm, Tang Ao nodded. Seeing Tang Ao nod his head, Bai Lu, who was clearly a young girl, sighed and said, "It's a good thing you came to the Star River Commerce to auction. If you went to the Black Merchant House, although the price would be higher, you wouldn't have your freedom anymore." Tang Ao had heard of the Black Merchant House, one of the 4 great merchant houses. The so-called 4 big chambers of commerce in the true martial world were the Chamber of Commerce of the Immortal Ruins, where Tang Ao was from, and the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce here. Other than these 2 merchant associations, there was the Thousand Merchant House and the Black Merchant House. The Black Merchant House was supported by the Heavenly Martial Realms Lord, and Tang Ao and the Heavenly Martial Realms Lord were enemies. However, the Heavenly Martial Realms Lord should not know who Tang Ao was. "I have heard a little about the Black Merchant House. I don't think I will have any dealings with the Black Merchant House," Tang Ao said after thinking for a while. "That's not necessarily the case. Although the Black Merchant House is not good, it is an underground business. You can buy all the treasures that can't be shown in public in the Black Merchant House. You can say that you can buy things that you can't buy in the other 3 big chambers of commerce, but you can buy them in the Black Merchant House. Therefore, no one can say that they don't have any dealings with the Black Merchant House." Hearing Bai Lu's words, Tang Ao nodded. Although the Thousand Merchant House had the Emperor Beast Bone Powder, it was a priceless treasure and not for sale. Even a gold medal elder like Song Qiufeng didn't dare to touch it. The Chamber of Commerce of the Immortal Ruins also had the Emperor Beast Bone Powder, but the quantity was too little. As for whether the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce had the Emperor Beast Bone Powder, Tang Ao didn't know. Junior sister Bai Lu, does the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce have the Emperor Beast Bone Powder for sale? Tang Ao had gone to the unbounded desolation realm for the Emperor Beast Bone. Now that he had come to a top chamber of commerce, he naturally had to ask about it. Bai Lu didn't answer. Instead, she said, the so-called Emperor Beast Bone is the remains of powerful demonic beasts in the Muddy Heaven realm. This is because the demonic beasts in the Muddy Heaven realm are basically born from the demon clan with powerful bloodlines. If a powerful demonic beast from the demon clan dies, if its body isn't destroyed, it will be sent back to the demon clan's ancestral land. Because of this, the number of Emperor Beast Bones floating around in the outside world is very small. Secondly, even if a human cultivator is lucky enough to obtain an Emperor Beast Bone, once the demon clan learns about it, they will definitely come to demand it. Sending the Emperor Beast Bone back to the demon clan's ancestral land is what the demon clan says to the outside world. In reality, the demon clan has a demon transformation pool. The Emperor Beast Bone is the best nutrient for the demon transformation pool. The demon transformation pool can raise the aptitude and talent of the demon clan's disciples. Therefore, the demon clan has a high demand for Emperor Beast Bones. It is extremely difficult for human cultivators to obtain Emperor Beast Bones. Chapter 2642. Does this mean that the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce doesn't have the Emperor Beast Bone? Tang Ao asked with a sigh. According to Pill St. Green Rock's notes, the easiest way to obtain a sword refining fruit was through the Emperor Beast Bone. Tang Ao was feeling very depressed. He had already prepared everything he needed to nurture the sword refining fruit. However, he had yet to obtain the Emperor Beast Bone. The Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce mainly deals with Starry Sky battleships and teleportation formations. The Starry Sky auction is only a side business, Bai Lu said casually. Seeing the disappointment on Tang Ao's face, Bai Lu asked lazily, "Don't tell me you're going to the unbounded desolation to find the Emperor Beast Bone? How did you know?" Tang Ao immediately regretted his words. He was distracted and accidentally told Bai Lu that he was going to the unbounded desolation to find the Emperor Beast Bone. Although it wasn't a secret, Tang Ao still sighed at his carelessness. The Dharch Beast Bone had many uses. Bai Lu would not have guessed that Tang Ao was searching for the Dharch Beast Bone to cultivate the sword refinement fruit. "I say, don't tell me you have a sword refining fruit?" Bai Lu looked at Tang Ao in surprise. Tang Ao could forge a high-quality crimson gold spear. No matter what immortal equipment Tang Ao used, Tang Ao definitely had the ability to forge an immortal equipment of the same level. To a human martial artist, the Emperor Beast Bone only had two uses. One was to forge weapons. Depending on the quality of the Emperor Beast Bone, the grade of the weapon forged would be different. However, no matter how good the Emperor Beast Bone was, no matter how great the weapon forged by the master, the weapon forged would never be as good as a crimson gold immortal equipment that could accompany the martial artist's growth. Tang Ao could forge crimson gold immortal equipment. Therefore, Tang Ao didn't want the Emperor Beast Bone for weapon forging. The other use of the Emperor Beast Bone was to grind it into powder to cultivate immortal herbs. Even though the immortal equipment made from the bone of an Emperor Beast couldn't be compared to a scarlet gold immortal equipment, it was still a rare treasure. Therefore, most people would use the bone of an Emperor Beast to refine equipment or concoct some weird pills. Very few people would be willing to grind the bone of an Emperor Beast into powder and use it to cultivate immortal herbs. Of course, it would be a different story if you had a sword refining fruit in your hands. The sword refinement fruit was one of the few immortal herbs that required an Emperor Beast's bone powder to nurture. The reason why Bai Lu asked if Tang Ao had the sword refinement fruit was because she only knew that the sword refinement fruit required an Emperor Beast's bone powder to nurture. As for the other immortal herbs, Bai Lu didn't know. Heh, Miss Bai Lu must be joking. Tang Ao's expression didn't change. Even though Tang Ao was surprised that Bai Lu had guessed what he wanted to do with the Emperor Beast Bone, Tang Ao would never admit that he had the sword refining fruit, unless Tang Ao was tired of living. I only want the Emperor Beast Bone to cultivate a secret technique. Tang Ao wasn't spouting nonsense. Tang Ao had obtained a method to refine the bones of demonic beasts into puppets in Dao Lord Great Dream's Dao Palace. After Tang Ao finished speaking, Bai Lu's fingers lightly tapped on the table as if she was thinking about something. After a long time, Bai Lu said, "Are you really going to the unbounded desolation to look for the Emperor Beast Bone?" Chapter 2643. How about taking me? What Tang Ao didn't expect was that Bai Lu would suddenly say something like this. If it weren't for the fact that Bai Lu only had a cultivation base of 9th level astral reaching realm, Tang Ao would really be worried that she might have some ulterior motive. Now that Tang Ao had cultivated the Heavenly Thunder Dao and the Purple Thunder Sky Escape, he wouldn't even be afraid of Yin-Yang realm martial artists, not to mention a 9th level astral reaching realm little girl like Bai Lu. Miss Bai Lu, we've known each other for less than 2 hours, right? Do you dare to go with me to the unbounded desolation region? Tang Ao didn't agree to Bai Lu's request. What's there to be afraid of? You think you can eat me? Moreover, I might go to the unbounded desolation region in the near future. It's just that with you, we can look after each other. Of course, I have a cultivation base of 9th level astral reaching realm, and you only have a cultivation base of 5th level astral reaching realm. If you're worried that I might have ulterior motives, I won't force you. Ah. Hearing Bai Lu's words, Tang Ao indeed burst into laughter. All right, but why would I want to go with you? Bai Lu's words were very clear. If Tang Ao didn't dare to bring her along, then even Tang Ao would look down on himself. Of course, that was what he thought, but if bringing Bai Lu would only be a burden, then Tang Ao wouldn't bring her along. Since Bai Lu said that she planned to go to the unbounded desolation region in the near future, it meant that she also had some information about the unbounded desolation region. Otherwise, going there would simply be nonsense. Bai Lu didn't say anything. She directly took out a jade slip and handed it over to Tang Ao. After receiving the jade slip, Tang Ao scanned it with his soul remembrance. Wei Xian then discovered that Bai Lu's jade slip recorded a place with an Emperor Beast's bone. For something like this, Tang Ao had a beast skin map that also marked a place with an Emperor Beast's bone. However, too much time had passed, and Tang Ao wasn't sure if the Dharch beast bone marked on the map was still there. Therefore, Tang Ao was prepared for the worst. Tang Ao did not expect Bai Lu to have a map as well. I still have 3 copies of this map. If we can find 2 sets of Emperor Beast bones in these 4 places, we'll each take one. If we can only find one, then it'll be mine. How about it? Of course, the first Emperor Beast bone that we find belongs to me. The extra Imperial Beast bones are also mine. Since I'm the one who provided the map, of course I'll give you a satisfactory reward. The reason why Bai Lu and Tang Ao had come to an agreement was that Bai Lu knew of a place in the realm of unbounded desolation where the Emperor Beast bone could be found. However, although Bai Lu was the person in charge of Star River City, she couldn't lead the martial artists of Star River City to retrieve the Emperor Beast bone. Moreover, this Emperor Beast bone was somewhat dangerous. Bai Lu might not be able to obtain it by herself. Therefore, Bai Lu asked Tang Ao to help her. She wanted Tang Ao to help her. If that's the case, you should find someone else. To Bai Lu's surprise, Tang Ao refused without even thinking. According to Bai Lu's method of distribution, Tang Ao's cooperation with Bai Lu this time would be for nothing. No matter how many Emperor Beast bones they found, Tang Ao could only get one. Chapter 2644. Then how should we split the loot? Although Bai Lu was surprised by Tang Ao's refusal, she looked at Tang Ao with admiration. If Tang Ao agreed without doing anything, Bai Lu would look down on Tang Ao. First, no matter how many Emperor Beast bones we find, we have to split them evenly. Second, the Emperor Beast bones found on your 4 maps will naturally go to you. If the Emperor Beast bones are found on my map, they will go to me first. If neither of us can find them on our maps, then our cooperation is over. After pondering for a while, Tang Ao spoke his mind. The only benefit of cooperating with Bai Lu wasn't that they could take care of each other, but the 4 maps in Bai Lu's hands. If there were 2 Emperor Beast bones in one of the 4 maps, then Tang Ao's trip would not be in vain. However, the demon race valued the Emperor Beast bones very much. The realm of unbounded desolation was originally the demon race's territory, so it would not be easy to obtain them. Finding 1 Emperor Beast bone was already very difficult. Tang Ao didn't have much hope of finding 2 or more. Therefore, Tang Ao's attitude toward this cooperation was very casual. If they could cooperate, then they would cooperate. If not, then forget it. Right now, Tang Ao also had a map in his hands, on which the location of a Emperor Beast bone was marked. If they couldn't find it in this place, Tang Ao could just look elsewhere. Even though Bai Lu had 3 maps in her hands, where did she get them? Some cultivator must have found the Emperor Beast bone long ago and recorded it down. Who knew how many maps this cultivator had recorded? Alright, I agree. Tang Ao had thought that even if Bai Lu agreed, she would still bargain with him. However, Tang Ao didn't expect that Bai Lu would agree so easily. I can get you a ticket to the realm of unbounded desolation, so you don't need to go to the auction to bid for it. Since the 2 of them were working together, Tang Ao didn't need to worry about the ticket. Bai Lu was the person in charge of Galaxy City. If Bai Lu wanted to get 2 tickets, she would only need to say a few words. Yes. Tang Ao did not refuse. Since Bai Lu was able to get a ticket, there was no need for Tang Ao to bid for it. Tang Ao estimated that with his wealth, it would not be difficult to bid for a ticket. However, Tang Ao was also worried that something might happen, so it would be best if Bai Lu could solve the problem of the ticket. Wait for me at the Star River Pier in 7 days. Before that, we... At this point, Bai Lu's face turned red and she did not continue, as if there was something she was embarrassed to say. Seeing Bai Lu like this, Tang Ao found it amusing, because Bai Lu gave Tang Ao the impression that she was smart, lively, and cheerful. Seeing Bai Lu like this, Tang Ao really wanted to hear what Bai Lu had to say next. Bai Lu raised her head and saw the faint smile on Tang Ao's face. She immediately rolled her eyes at Tang Ao and said, "Before that, during the 7 days in Galaxy City, we will pretend to be a couple. This way we will leave Galaxy City together in 7 days, and no one will suspect anything." Chapter 2645. When Bai Lu heard Tang Ao's words, her eyes widened and she glared at Tang Ao angrily, as if she was about to teach Tang Ao a lesson. "Ha ha ha, little sister Bai Lu, I was just teasing you. Also, help me auction these things as well." After Tang Ao finished speaking, he threw a storage ring on the ground and left. After Tang Ao left, Bai Lu couldn't help but giggle. She just wanted to tease Tang Ao, but Tang Ao thought she was angry and ran away. During the day in the treasure appraisal room, Tang Ao did run away. However, Tang Ao didn't run for long. In the evening, another person appeared beside Tang Ao. Compared to Silvermoon's charming and mischievous beauty, Bai Lu's was far too strange. "If you keep putting on such a straight face, how will others know that we are a couple?" Bai Lu generously hugged Tang Ao's arm and walked with Tang Ao on the streets of Galaxy City. Looking at the murderous gazes of many martial artists around them, Tang Ao knew that he had been tricked by a woman again. Pretending to be a couple with Bai Lu for 7 days was obviously not an easy thing to do. As Tang Ao walked on the streets of Galaxy City, he saw many envious and jealous gazes, some of which even contained hidden killing intent. Bai Lu was the #1 beauty of Galaxy City. Among the young talents of Galaxy City, many secretly admired Bai Lu. It wasn't just Galaxy City. Even the son of the city lord of Skycloud City, which was next to Galaxy City, didn't give up even after being rejected 9 times. This showed how charming Bai Lu was. Now that Tang Ao and Bai Lu were together, people immediately began to use various means to investigate Tang Ao's background. Originally, everyone was puzzled. Although martial artists didn't necessarily have to marry and have children, once they reached a certain age, they would most likely find a partner to cultivate with. After all, the path of martial arts was lonely. Wouldn't it be sad if he didn't even have someone to talk to at the end of his cultivation? Now, everyone understood why Bai Lu had repeatedly rejected the goodwill of the various young prodigies. It turned out that Bai Lu already had someone in her heart, so it was normal for her to reject everyone. However, what the crowd did not understand was how Tang Ao was able to be with Bai Lu. Moreover, Bai Lu was now holding on to Tang Ao's arm, looking like a cute little bird. When everyone looked at Tang Ao, they wished they were Tang Ao. However, no one knew that at this moment, Tang Ao also felt like there was a dagger on his back, and he felt uncomfortable being stared at by everyone. This kid is dead for sure. Young Master Tian is currently in Star River City. With young Master Tian's feelings for Miss Bai Lu, he will definitely not tolerate this kid. You can't say that. How can Miss Bai Lu's lover be simple? This kid looks sloppy and ordinary. There's nothing amazing about him. All sorts of discussions reached Tang Ao's ears, but Tang Ao could only smile bitterly. However, Tang Ao didn't take these threats to heart. If someone really came looking for trouble, he would just have to make things clear. After all, Tang Ao didn't like Bai Lu and didn't have any feelings for her. Big brother Tang Ao, do you think Star River City's night market is lively? Bai Lu held on to Tang Ao's arm and said in a very soft voice. Chapter 2646. Galaxy City's night market was indeed bustling. There were many vendors selling all sorts of things. Most of these things weren't for cultivation. Although martialists were above mortals, they were still mortals at the end of the day. There were many special delicacies in the night market, as well as some playthings. What is this? Tang Ao walked to a stone table and stopped. This stone table had a total of 8 sides, and it was currently crowded with people. There was also a martialist standing in each of the other 7 directions of the stone table. On the stone table was a 7-tiered glazed platform. The first level of the glazed platform had 7 jade tokens with the names of 7 items written on them. Tang Ao glanced at the 7 items and found that they were all good materials. The second level had 6 items, and so on. On the first level, there was only 1 jade token. However, the item on the jade token moved Tang Ao. This was because the item on the jade token was the Underworld Soul Water. To Tang Ao, the Underworld Soul Water was of no use. The Underworld Soul Water's effect was to strengthen a martialist's soul, increasing a martialist's psyche by 10 to 30%. Compared to a mortal spiritual force, psyche existed when a martialist started cultivating. Moreover, every time a martialist's cultivation increased, their psyche would also increase. However, there were very few methods to specifically cultivate psyche or improve it. Whether it was using immortal equipment, executing techniques, setting up arrays, refining equipment, refining elixirs, or many other things, they all required psyche. Psyche was very important to martialists. Therefore, Tang Ao guessed that many people here might have been attracted by the Underworld Soul Water. Of course, Tang Ao had also been attracted by the Underworld Soul Water. However, Tang Ao didn't want the Underworld Soul Water to temper his psyche. Tang Ao possessed the 9 Dragons Emperor Jade Body, so his body naturally had a soul C and spirit C. Because of the soul C, Tang Ao's psyche was comparable to a turbid sky realm expert. Therefore, even if Tang Ao wanted to use the underworld soul water to temper his psyche, it wouldn't have this effect. Tang Ao valued the underworld soul water because it couldn't be stored for a long time. The underworld water would lose its effect after 3 days outside of its source. This is one of the strongholds of the Black Merchant building. The way to play here is very simple. It's a competition of soul remembrance. 8 people will stand in 8 different directions of the stone table. After injecting soul remembrance into the stone table's formation, it will push the formation flag forward. It's just that this stone table is made of soul-extinguishing stone. Ordinary martial artists would find it extremely difficult to push the array flags forward, much less push the array flags to climb the tower. If you can push the array flag to climb the tower, you will be able to obtain the corresponding treasure wherever the array flag reaches. Of course, this pagoda isn't simple either. It's a replica made from the original form of the soul-destroying pagoda. Although it's a replica, it has a strong hindrance effect on a martial artist's remembrance. Moreover, the 8 people climbing the pagoda are in a competitive relationship, so their remembrance will fight against each other. Beside Tang Ao, Bai Lu transmitted the information about the stone table to Tang Ao in detail. After hearing Bai Lu's words, Tang Ao nodded his head and casually asked, "No matter what treasure it is, it can be redeemed?" Tang Ao didn't transmit. In reality, Tang Ao wasn't asking Bai Lu, but the person in charge of the soul-destroying pagoda. Ha ha ha, I won't beat around the bush. This soul-destroying pagoda is a business supported by the Black Merchant building. Even if you climb to the 7th floor, we won't miss out on your underworld soul water. Why, does this friend want to play? The person guarding the soul-destroying pagoda was a bald man. This bald man also saw Bai Lu beside Tang Ao. Chapter 2647. Alright, in that case, I'll have some fun. Tang Ao had awakened the underworld life soul, so he was very sensitive to the underworld water. If there was underworld water in Galaxy City, no matter where the other party hid, Tang Ao would be able to sense it. But now, Tang Ao did not sense the underworld water in Galaxy City. Tang Ao believed that if this bald man dared to talk about the underworld water, he wouldn't be speaking without thinking. Since the underworld water only had a shelf life of 3 days, there had to be somewhere nearby where the underworld water existed. 50,000 mid-grade immortal crystals. The bald man stretched his hand in front of Tang Ao. Tang Ao's expression changed slightly, but he quickly recovered. Tang Ao did not expect that climbing this tower would cost so many immortal crystals. Tang Ao had a lot of treasures on him, but Tang Ao did not have so many immortal crystals on him. At this time, Tang Ao also understood why there were thousands of people watching but 8 people climbing the tower could not be found. Others did not notice the change in Tang Ao's expression, but Bai Lu, who was beside Tang Ao, saw it. Immediately, Bai Lu took out a storage ring and threw it over. At the same time, Bai Lu said with a smile, "This is my own savings. If you don't win something useful, I'll leave with someone else." This time, Bai Lu did not use a voice transmission. Many people around heard Bai Lu's words. There were 7 martial artists at the stone table, and more than half of them came from other places. When one of them saw Bai Lu, he immediately grinned and said, "All right, sister, what do you want? Your brother Hai will win it for you." As he spoke, the martial artist directly reached out to touch Bai Lu's chin. However, before he could touch Bai Lu's chin, the sound of bones breaking was heard. Immediately, everyone was shocked to see that the martial artist's outstretched arm was grabbed by Tang Ao. Moreover, it was twisted to a strange extent, and even the bones were poked out. "Can people kill in Galaxy City?" Tang Ao asked coldly. "Others cannot, but you are an exception." Bai Lu smiled and said softly. However, Tang Ao did not kill this martial artist. The reason why Tang Ao killed him was because Tang Ao had promised Bai Lu that he would pretend to be a couple with her for 7 days. This person wanted to bully Bai Lu in front of Tang Ao. Wasn't that a slap to Tang Ao's face? Humph, I don't believe you dare to kill me. The eyes of the yellow-robed young man, who had been taught a lesson by Tang Ao, flickered with killing intent. Even though he did not know who the two people in front of him were, Murong Jin was not afraid of them at all. As for Tang Ao, he was already a dead man in Murong Jin's eyes. Just now, Tang Ao dared to break his arm when he was unprepared. Sister Bai Lu, what do you want? Tang Ao ignored Murong Jin and stroked Bai Lu's hair as he asked tenderly. Looking at Tang Ao's appearance, many people had no choice but to rush forward and chop him up. Bai Lu's heart was pounding. Even though she had said that she would pretend to be a couple with Tang Ao for 7 days and had even taken the initiative to hug Tang Ao's arm, that was because Tang Ao was like a block of wood. Bai Lu would never have thought that Tang Ao was not a block of wood, but a monster. Bai Lu had never felt this way before. She was nervous, but she could not explain why. In any case, her heart was pounding, and Bai Lu did not know why. I want the jade pendant from the 5th level. After hesitating for a long time, Bai Lu blushed and said. Chapter 2648. Alright, I'll go get it for you, Tang Ao said as he took a step forward, standing at the last corner of the stone table. The bald man sneered after hearing Tang Ao's words. Not to mention the 5th floor, any martial artist below the yin-yang realm who could climb to the 3rd floor would already be considered a monster. This bald man was a yin-yang realm martial artist, and he could tell with one glance that Tang Ao's cultivation base was only at the 5th level of the astral reaching realm. If you can get the 5th floor jade pendant today, I, Murong Jin, will call you father 3 times. The martial artist who had been taught a lesson by Tang Ao sneered. In terms of cultivation base, he was at the 7th level of the astral reaching realm, which was not much higher than Tang Ao. However, in terms of soul remembrance, the Murong family had a special soul refining art. Murong Jin was only at the 6th level of the astral reaching realm, but his soul remembrance had already reached the level of the 6th level of the yin-yang realm. Many of Bai Lu's pursuers were also staring at Tang Ao. Everyone wanted to see what kind of ability Tang Ao, who had caught Bai Lu's eye, had. Just as the bald man was about to start, a young man in white suddenly walked in from the crowd. I am Tian Liangguang from the Sky Cloud City. This glazed tower is a game that I play every time I come to the Star River City. I wonder if there is a friend who can help me? Ha ha ha, Brother Tian, I am Zhao Luoi from the Southern Kuan Sword School. I have long wanted to be friends with Brother Tian. Since Brother Tian is interested, then let him play, Zhao Luoi said as he retreated to the side, as if his relationship with Tian Liangguang was not ordinary. He was even willing to give up the 50,000 mid-grade immortal crystals slot so easily. Thank you, Brother Zhao. Here are 100,000 mid-grade immortal crystals. Go buy yourself a cup of wine. As Tian Liangguang spoke, he casually handed over a storage ring. Seeing this scene, 2 people at the table immediately regretted it. Although they did not know this Tian Liangguang, but this kind of opportunity to earn 50,000 mid-grade immortal crystals for a slot was not something they could encounter in this world. 50,000 mid-grade immortal crystals would be 500 million low-grade immortal crystals, which was not a small amount. Climbing the stained glass pagoda, one had to climb to at least the 3rd level before they could barely break even. If he wanted to earn some immortal crystals, he had to at least climb to the 4th level. There was only a difference of 1 level between the 3rd and 4th level, but the difference in difficulty was like heaven and earth. Of the 10,000 martial artists who managed to climb to the 3rd level, it was highly possible that not a single martial artist could climb to the 4th level. None of the warriors who came to climb the glazed pagoda didn't want to earn money. However, among the many warriors who climbed the glazed pagoda, only a few were able to earn money. Earning 50,000 intermediate-grade immortal crystals before even climbing the tower was truly enviable. Okay, the 8 of you can check the array flags. If there are no problems, we can start. Wu Yin took out 8 array flags from his storage ring and placed them on the stone table made of soul-extinguishing stone. Tang Ao scanned the area with his soul remembrance and nodded. These array flags were 1 inch in size and the array patterns inside were complete. They were also made of soul-extinguishing stone. The array flags made of soul-extinguishing stone were moved on the stone table made of soul-extinguishing stone. Finally, they climbed the fake soul-extinguishing pagoda. Tang Ao sighed in his heart. If one didn't have a special cultivation method of soul remembrance or had an extremely strong soul remembrance, climbing the glazed glass pagoda was like giving immortal crystals to the black merchant house. After the 8 of them confirmed that there were no mistakes, Wu Yin laughed coldly and said, "Begin." Chapter 2649. At this moment, Tang Ao's expression didn't change. The reason he didn't control the array flags was because Wu Yin, that baldy, was playing dirty. When he first checked the array flags, there weren't any problems. However, the moment everyone started, 7 of the 9 arrays in the array flags immediately concealed an array pattern. There were more than 10 million array patterns in an array. Moreover, these were array patterns carved into the soul-extinguishing stone array flags. Even if a normal array master looked at it for 7 days and 7 nights, they wouldn't be able to see anything wrong. However, Tang Ao wasn't a grade 4 immortal array master, and his soul remembrance was equivalent to a normal turbid heaven realm martial artist. Therefore, how could Tang Ao not see that in that instant, the array flag was missing 7 array patterns? Making up his mind, Tang Ao condensed his soul remembrance and used brute force to repair the missing 7 array patterns in the array flag. Without these 7 array patterns, even if a true turbid heaven realm expert came, they wouldn't be able to climb the array flag to the 7th floor, let alone Tang Ao's soul remembrance, which was equivalent to a turbid heaven realm expert. In just a short moment, Tang Ao had finished repairing the 7 array patterns. Immediately, under everyone's disdainful gazes, Tang Ao's array flag steadily advanced. However, Tang Ao's array flag was much slower. Currently, the fastest was Tian Liangguang, who had already controlled the array flag to traverse a third of the distance. After Tian Liangguang was Murong Jin, who had just been taught a lesson by Tang Ao. Originally, Murong Jin's speed wasn't slower than Tian Liangguang's, and he even looked calm and composed. Clearly, he hadn't used his full strength. However, now, Murong Jin's speed suddenly slowed down. At the same time, his array flag didn't travel in a straight line, but instead charged towards Tang Ao's array flag. This kind of soul remembrance confrontation was allowed. If one had the ability to knock away the other 7's array flags before climbing the tower, then everything on each floor would be yours as long as one could climb up. However, normally, those who dared to climb the glazed tower had some ability. Kicking out the other 7 people before climbing the tower had never happened before. Tian Liangguang didn't want Tang Ao to climb the tower, not even a single floor. Tian Liangguang was relieved when he saw Murong Jin attack Tang Ao. Murong Jin's soul remembrance was clearly above his. Since Murong Jin had made a move, then Tang Ao really shouldn't even think about going to the next floor. Thinking of this, Tian Liangguang urged his soul remembrance to speed up his array flags and approach the glazed pagoda. When Tang Ao saw Murong Jin's array flags coming to stop him, he thought to himself that he was courting death. This Murong Jin was really courting death. His array flag had been damaged by the 7 array patterns that were imbued with soul remembrance. He had 100% of his power, but he could only use 30% of it. His soul remembrance was originally inferior to Tang Ao's, yet he still dared to take the initiative to intercept Tang Ao. Everyone could see that Murong Jin's soul remembrance seemed to be the strongest among the 8 of them. Even when he was competing with Tian Liangguang at the beginning, Murong Jin didn't use his full strength and seemed to be at ease. Thus, no one doubted that as long as Murong Jin made a move, Tang Ao would be the first to be eliminated. Bai Lu's pursuit made her feel carefree, but there were also many people who began to sympathize with Tang Ao. He had spent 50,000 middle-grade immortal crystals for nothing. In the end, he hadn't even touched the glazed pagoda before being eliminated. This was truly a tragic story. Under everyone's gaze, Murong Jin's array flag quickly neared Tang Ao's array flag and abruptly collided with it. Many people immediately shook their heads. Tang Ao was going to be eliminated. Chapter 2650. Everyone could not help but gasp as they stared at the stone table with their eyes wide open. On the stone table, Murong Jin's array flag had been shattered by Tang Ao's array flag, and Murong Jin had also suffered a backlash, puking out blood on the spot. On the other hand, Tang Ao was completely fine. This meant that even though they were both astral-reaching realm warriors, Tang Ao's soul remembrance was way more condensed than Murong Jin's. So powerful! After a while, someone in the crowd spoke first. Powerful! The crowd could not help but praise as well. Those who dared to come here were all warriors with powerful soul remembrance. It seemed like Tang Ao's soul remembrance could completely crush Murong Jin's. Then, how powerful would Tang Ao's soul remembrance be? After shattering Murong Jin's array flag, Tang Ao's array flag suddenly sped up. Under everyone's shocked gaze, it passed the other 5 people and soon caught up to Tian Liangguang. Tian Liangguang hesitated for a while, but still did not stop Tang Ao. Instead, he controlled the array flag and chased after Tang Ao. Tian Liangguang was not a reckless man. Murong Jin's soul remembrance was more powerful than his, but his array flag had still been shattered by Tang Ao. If he tried to stop Tang Ao, he would be looking for trouble. If he wanted to teach Tang Ao a lesson, he had plenty of ways to do so. There was no need to use a jade item to smash a jar. In Tian Liangguang's eyes, he was a jade item, and Tang Ao was just a lucky jar. No matter where Tang Ao came from, the moment he touched Bai Lu, Tang Ao was already a dead man in Tian Liangguang's eyes. In fact, Tian Liangguang did not like Bai Lu that much. What he liked was her identity. Bai Lu was not only the person in charge of the Galaxy City, but also the third lady of the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce. The president of the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce had 3 daughters, and she treated all of them equally. Therefore, in the future, all 3 of them could become the owners of the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce. Dang dang dang! When Tang Ao's array flag crossed the jade card on the first floor, the glazed pagoda immediately issued 7 soft sounds, indicating that the 7 treasures on the first floor all belonged to Tang Ao. Wu Yin's expression changed. Wu Yin had been in charge of Galaxy City's glazed pagoda for over 1,000 years. Wu Yin had never seen a martial artist climb the pagoda without any pause. A few hundred years ago, a chaotic heaven stage powerhouse had climbed the lapis lazuli pagoda. Although his speed was astonishing and he had climbed to the 7th floor, that powerhouse still hadn't reached Tang Ao's terrifying speed. After climbing to the 1st floor, without any pause, Tang Ao began to climb to the 2nd floor. Everyone watched as the array flag controlled by Tang Ao flew towards the 2nd layer like a black shadow. Their mouths were agape and they were speechless. However, this was not the end. Soon, Tang Ao's array flags rushed up to the 3rd layer. Similarly, without any delay, Tang Ao's array flags directly rushed past the 5 jade cards on the 3rd floor. Then, it was the 4th floor. As long as Tang Ao climbed to the 4th floor, he would be able to make a profit from this pagoda. Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, Tang Ao's array flags consecutively passed through the 4 jade cards on the 4th floor. Wu Yin's face had already turned a little green. A martial artist climbing to the 4th floor and taking away 4 items was still within Wu Yin's acceptable range. However, now that Tang Ao had taken away the 4 items on the 4th floor, he clearly had no intention of stopping. With a flash of black light, Tang Ao's array flags directly rushed to the 5th floor. Seeing Tang Ao rush to the 5th floor in one go, the surrounding crowd was already numb. Many people even suspected that there was a problem with the glazed pagoda's array formation. However, when everyone saw that the rest of the people were still struggling to control the array flags, they immediately understood that there was no problem with the glazed pagoda's array formation. It was their eyes that had a problem. If not for their eyes, how could they see someone controlling the array flags in just 10 breaths of time? Moreover, it didn't seem like he was stopping. After a while, Tang Ao controlled the array flags to reach the 6th floor. With 2 dang-dang sounds, Tang Ao's array flags directly passed through the 6th floor and reached the 7th floor. Chapter 2651. Tian Liangguang's face was pale and his aura was unstable and chaotic. If he performed normally, Tian Liangguang could barely knock one of the jade pendants on the 5th level. Previously, Tian Liangguang was in the crowd and naturally heard that Bai Lu wanted something on one of the jade pendants. Tian Liangguang's goal this time was to get the treasure that Bai Lu wanted. However, this time, Tian Liangguang was affected by Tang Ao and kept accelerating, causing his psyche to backfire. Climbing to the 4th level was already his limit. Seeing Tang Ao's array flag reach the top, the surrounding martial artists immediately burst into cheers. The Black Merchant House had set up the soul-destroying tower here. Besides, a few hundred years ago, a turbid Heaven Realm expert had climbed to the top. The rest of the martial artists basically gave immortal crystals to the Black Merchant House. Seeing Tang Ao reach the top, even Bai Lu's pursuers could only sigh at Tang Ao's extraordinary strength and young lady Bai Lu's unique foresight. Murong Jin, who had caught his breath, saw Tang Ao smash his array flag and quickly reach the top. Anger rushed to his head and he spat out another mouthful of blood. Murong Jin knew that he wasn't Tang Ao's match. After glaring hatefully at Tang Ao, Murong Jin left. "Hand it over." Tang Ao extended his hand and said to Wu Yin. Wu Yin was very familiar with this scene. Not long ago, he had extended his hand and asked Tang Ao for immortal crystals. However, the situation was reversed now. It was Tang Ao who asked him for the treasure to reach the top of the soul-destroying tower. The soul-destroying tower had a total of 7 levels. The treasures on the 1st to 4th level were all ordinary items. Normally, most martial artists could barely climb to the 3rd level. Very few talented people could climb to the 4th level. Even a genius like Tian Liangguang could barely reach the 5th level. Therefore, if one only climbed to the first 3 levels, the Black Merchant House wouldn't lose anything. Instead, they would earn 50,000 intermediate-grade immortal crystals. Once a martial artist climbed to the 4th level, they wouldn't earn anything. After the 5th level, the Black Merchant House would start losing money. Wu Yin was the person in charge of the Black Merchant House in Galaxy City. Even if Tang Ao were to ascend to the 5th or even the 6th floor, Wu Yin would still be able to withstand it. But now that Tang Ao had directly ascended to the top, Wu Yin couldn't bear it. He couldn't lose the reputation of the Black Merchant House. At the same time, Wu Yin didn't want to take the reward for Tang Ao reaching the top. "You cheated," Wu Kuang snorted coldly. His aura rolled and enveloped the surroundings, crushing towards Tang Ao. "What did you say?" Tang Ao's face turned cold. Tang Ao didn't think that the Black Merchant House would dare to play like this, but they couldn't afford to lose. The Nether Soul water came from the Nether River. The Underworld River could exist anywhere, but the water in the underworld river was just ordinary underworld river water. It required a martial artist proficient in the underworld Tao to refine the underworld river water day and night before they could refine the underworld river water into underworld soul water. Therefore, although the name of the underworld water sounded ordinary, it was actually a very precious item. Originally, he thought that with the Black Merchant House's reputation, it wouldn't be a problem for them to take out a bottle of underworld water. But Tang Ao didn't expect that after he ascended to the top, Wu Yin would actually accuse him of cheating. Tang Ao didn't think that this Wu Yin had the ability to see the changes in the array runes on the array flag. This was because after Tang Ao ascended to the top, the 7 array runes that Tang Ao added were removed by Tang Ao. This kid actually cheated. Impossible. There are thousands of pairs of eyes here. How could he cheat? It seems like the Black Merchant House doesn't want to take out the treasure and wants to renege on the debt. Chapter 2652. Are you feeling guilty? Are you afraid to let me check the array flag? Wu Yin was very surprised. When he tried to grab it, he was blown back by Tang Ao's punch. Wu Yin himself was at the Yin-Yang realm 1st level, while Tang Ao was only at the astral reaching realm 5th level. Even if he was careless, he should not have been blown back by Tang Ao's punch. Everyone here, as long as you want to check the array flag, you can use your soul remembrance to do so. However, before Wu Yin gives me the reward, no one will dare to touch this array flag. Tang Ao was not afraid that Wu Yin could see anything. If Wu Yin really had that ability, then he should have seen it when Tang Ao fixed the 7 broken patterns in the array flag, instead of saying it now. Tang Ao was worried that Wu Yin would destroy the array flag after getting it. In that case, Wu Yin would insist that he cheated, which would be troublesome. This soul-destroying tower belonged to the Black Merchant House after all, so Wu Yin could say whatever he wanted. You cheated in the soul-destroying tower, and you still want a reward? If you don't come with me to the Black Merchant House to explain things, don't even think about leaving the Galaxy City. Wu Yin's aura surged, as if he was going to teach Tang Ao a lesson. So, the Black Merchant House does not want to give me the reward? Could it be that the Black Merchant House dared to set up the soul-destroying tower, but could not bring out the reward, so they want to deny it? Tang Ao looked at Wu Yin coldly. Tang Ao did not say that Wu Yin would not give out the reward, but directly said that the Black Merchant House would not give out the reward. If Wu Yin and Tang Ao continued to fight, then the Black Merchant House, this soul-destroying tower, would become history. The reason why the soul-destroying tower attracted countless warriors to participate was because of the underworld water that could be obtained by reaching the top of the tower. In any slightly larger warrior city, the Black Merchant House's soul-destroying tower could be seen. If there was a rumor that someone reached the top of the soul-destroying tower but did not get the underworld water, then who would dare to climb the soul-destroying tower in the future? Don't talk nonsense here. Although Wu Yin was just a deacon of the Black Merchant House in Galaxy City, he still knew how important the soul-exterminating pagoda was to the Black Merchant House. If something happened to the soul-destroying pagoda in his hands, it would be considered a light punishment if the Black Merchant House killed him. His soul might be extracted and refined, and he wouldn't even have the chance to reincarnate. Lady Bai Lu, this person intentionally destroyed my Black Merchant House's soul-destroying tower. I want to bring him back to the Black Merchant House's branch for questioning. Wu Yin didn't wait for Bai Lu to reply and immediately grabbed Tang Ao. Scram! Star River City is not a place for you to cause trouble. However, before Wu Yin could grab hold of Tang Ao, an immortal essence hand seal directly lifted and threw Wu Yin out like an eagle catching a chick. Then, a black-robed figure appeared in front of Tang Ao and Bai Lu. After the black-robed elder threw Wu Yin away, he turned to Bai Lu and cupped his fist. "Third miss, are you hurt?" Tang Ao was secretly surprised by the black-robed elder's cultivation. He wasn't surprised that the black-robed elder threw Wu Yin away. Tang Ao didn't care about trash like Wu Yin at all. What surprised Tang Ao was that the elder was definitely nearby, but Tang Ao didn't notice his presence. Chapter 2653. Ha ha ha, Senior Brother Baijan, there is no need to get angry at a junior. After Baijan threw Wu Yin away, Wu Yin also instantly crushed a jade talisman. Then, a martial artist wearing a red Taoist robe instantly appeared from afar. Feeling the immortal spiritual power fluctuations from this person, Tang Ao knew that this was another Chaotic Sky Realm martial artist. Although Chaotic Sky Realm martial artists were not at the peak of the martial Tao, they were still a group of people who stood at the top. Normally, one would not be able to see one. Unexpectedly, two Chaotic Sky Realm martial artists appeared one after another because of this small soul destruction tower. Uncle Hu Yang, Brother Tang Ao climbed to the 7th floor of the soul destruction tower, but the attendant of your black merchant building did not give Brother Tang Ao the corresponding reward. How could there be such a thing in this world? Tang Ao did not know this martial artist from the black merchant building, but Bai Lu did. Hearing that someone had climbed to the 7th floor of the soul destruction tower, Hu Yang was shocked. The higher the cultivation, the harder it was to climb the soul destruction tower. The best time to climb the tower was when one was at the astral reaching realm. However, even for those top astral reaching realm martial artists, climbing to the 6th floor was already very heaven-defying. And now, this young man next to Bai Lu was actually able to climb to the 7th floor of the soul destruction tower. Who was this person? Wu Yin, is there such a thing? Hu Yang was completely unaware of what had just happened. However, someone had climbed to the 7th floor of the soul destruction tower. This was no small matter. Elder Hu, he cheated. If not, how could he climb to the 7th floor of the soul destruction tower? Wu Yin arrived behind Hu Yang and said with a trembling voice, "You saw me cheat?" Tang Ao did not back down. Before climbing the soul destruction tower's array flag, everyone had to check it once to make sure there were no mistakes before climbing the tower. However, at the moment of ascending the tower, the array flag was missing 7 array patterns. Tang Ao had only repaired the missing 7 array patterns. Your array flag is right there. As long as you let us check it, the truth will naturally be revealed. Wu Yin was not sure if Tang Ao had tampered with the array flags, but in Wu Yin's opinion, if Tang Ao had not tampered with the array flags, how could Tang Ao have reached the top directly? If it was so easy to reach the top of the soul-destroying tower, the Black Merchant House wouldn't need to run the soul-destroying tower. This kind of thing had happened before. Although it was difficult to inscribe array runes on array flags made of soul extermination stones, if Tang Ao happened to be a grade 3 immortal array master and was proficient in blacksmithing, it was not impossible to add array runes on array flags. There was once an immortal array master who increased the number of arrays in the array flag by 7 times, to a total of 49 arrays. After increasing the array flag's original array by 7 times, he only needed to use less than 10% of his soul remembrance to easily control the array flag and easily reach the top. Wu Yin did not believe that Tang Ao had the ability to increase the number of arrays by 7 times. However, if Tang Ao dared to change the array, even if it was just one more array rune, Tang Ao would still be cheating. The soul-destroying tower's rules were written clearly. If one cheated, they would have to pay 10 times the compensation or be immediately killed. The Black Merchant House naturally would not ask for 10 times the compensation from Tang Ao. As long as Tang Ao's cheating was true, Wu Yin believed that even if Baijan was here, Elder Hu Yang would instantly appear and kill Tang Ao. Chapter 2654. Impudent. How dare you slander the Black Merchant House? Do you think that Brother Baijan is here that you can spout nonsense? Hu Yang looked at Tang Ao with murderous intent. Regardless of whether Tang Ao had cheated or not, Tang Ao had to die since he dared to publicly slander the Black Merchant House. At least what Tang Ao had said was right. So what if the Black Merchant House bullied a loose cultivator like him? Baijan frowned when he heard Hu Yang's words. Hu Yang's words were clearly not giving him any face. He and Hu Yang were both third-stage Turbid Sky Realm martial artists. There was no need to fight over such a small matter. Furthermore, Baijan had yet to figure out the relationship between Tang Ao and Bai Lu. If Tang Ao and Bai Lu were really a couple, then he would definitely help Tang Ao today. However, if Bai Lu and Tang Ao had no relationship, then there was no need for him to stand up for Tang Ao. The Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce was not weak, but the Black Merchant House was not any weaker than the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce. If you want to inspect it, that's fine. Give me the reward first. Tang Ao did not take Hu Yang's threat to heart. Currently, Tang Ao still had a Divine Thunder Pearl. If Hu Yang felt that he could definitely defeat Tang Ao, then Tang Ao did not mind letting him experience the taste of the Divine Thunder Pearl. According to the records of the Heavenly Thunder Tao, the Divine Thunder Pearl condensed from 9 heavens thought could definitely kill a late-stage Turbid Sky Realm martial artist. Using the Divine Thunder Pearl to kill a early-stage Turbid Sky Realm martial artist like Hu Yang was simply a waste. Of course you can inspect it first. However, after the inspection, if I did not cheat, I want you to give me double the reward, Tang Ao said calmly without fear. Tang Ao knew that doing this would offend the Black Merchant House. However, Tang Ao did not care. This was because Tang Ao and the Black Merchant House were originally enemies. The Black Merchant House had the support of the Heavenly Martial Realms Lord, and Tang Ao and the Heavenly Martial Realms Lord were mortal enemies. However, even now, the Heavenly Martial Realms Lord probably didn't know who Tang Ao was. Since they were enemies, taking advantage of this opportunity to rip off the Black Merchant House was something that should be done. Not far from the Soul Destruction Pagoda stood a middle-aged man in luxurious clothes. Next to the middle-aged man was a white-haired old man. At this moment, both of them were watching what was happening at the Soul Destruction Tower with great interest. Sai Lu is too mischievous. This young man is relying on Baijan's presence to not know what's good for him, and offended the Black Merchant House. The middle-aged man looked at Tang Ao and couldn't help but shake his head. On the path of martial arts, right and wrong were often blurred. What was most beneficial to oneself was right. If it wasn't beneficial to him, then it was wrong. At this moment, Tang Ao was in the right. As long as Tang Ao was willing to take a step back, Hu Yang might give him the reward. From the moment Tang Ao had started climbing the tower, Bai Xingyan had been paying attention to Tang Ao. Tang Ao's soul remembrance was something that Bai Xingyan had never seen before. If such a talented young man didn't know when to back off, then no matter how talented he was, it would be useless. Ha ha ha, I feel that little Lu has made a pretty good friend this time. Old Lu, who was beside Bai Xingyan, laughed heartily. When he looked at Tang Ao, his gaze contained a hint of approval. Why does old Lu say that? Bai Xingyan's eyes flashed with astonishment. He hadn't expected that old Lu's opinion of Tang Ao would be so different from his own. Chapter 2655. Tang Ao's words angered Hu Yang to the point of laughing. Hu Yang had never imagined that there would be such a daring fellow like Tang Ao. He had actually dared to ask for benefits from the Black Merchant House. Good, good, good. Hu Yang said good 3 times in a row. Then, he continued, if there is no problem with the array flags, I can give you double the benefits. If there is really a problem with the array flags, I will not take your life. I will just cripple your cultivation. How about it? That's a deal. Seniors, please inspect it. Tang Ao did not hesitate to cup his fists at Bai Zhan. Bai Zhan's expression changed slightly. This Tang Ao had clearly borrowed his influence. Bai Zhan was naturally unhappy that he was being used by a junior for no reason. However, when he recalled that Tang Ao and Bai Lu seemed to have a close relationship, Bai Zhan suppressed his anger and walked to the side of the array flags. "Brother Bai, please." Hu Yang was not worried that Bai Zhan would interfere. The array flags refined from the soul-extinguishing stone could only be altered by a Grade 3 Immortal Tool Master or a Grade 3 Immortal Array Master. According to what Hu Yang knew, Bai Zhan's attainments in the array Dao were not bad. However, Bai Zhan did not know anything about blacksmithing. Furthermore, Bai Zhan could forget about doing anything under Hu Yang's nose. Bai Zhan did not refuse. He used his spiritual sense to scan the array flags. Soon, everyone noticed that Bai Zhan's expression had changed slightly. When Bai Zhan saw the change in Bai Zhan's expression, Bai Lu was startled. She was truly worried that Tang Ao would lose his sense of propriety and change the array flags without permission. Since Bai Zhan was here, Hu Yang would not be able to do anything to Tang Ao. However, the Black Merchant House would not let Tang Ao off. Suddenly, Bai Zhan took out 3 array flags and threw them out. A huge array image appeared in front of everyone. This array image was the projection of the array flags. This array image could not be fake. At this time, everyone could clearly see the array formation that Tang Ao had used earlier. Inside the array flag, there were clearly 7 array formations. Apart from these 7 array formations, there wasn't even an extra array pattern. Bai Lu's face lit up with joy. Everyone knew about the 7 formations of the soul-extinguishing array flag. Since there were no problems with the formation in the array flag that Tang Ao used, why did Bai Zhan frown earlier? Hu Yang's expression sank when Bai Zhan directly projected the formation within the formation flags. However, he did not say anything. The projection of the formation could not be faked, nor could it be faked. Among the array flags used by Tang Ao, there were indeed only 7 array formations, not even one more array pattern. Seeing this scene, Wu Onyx was scared out of his wits. Originally, they had only lost one set of materials. As long as they reported it truthfully, the Black Merchant House would naturally take care of the rest. But now that he had lost 2 portions of underworld water, Wu Yin could already imagine what he was going to face. "Take it." Hu Yang had a sullen expression as he tossed out a storage ring. Then, he said to Wu Yin, "I came out in a hurry this time. I only brought 1 portion of underworld water with me. Give him the portion of underworld water that you have." Plop. After Hu Yang spoke, Wu Yin immediately knelt on the ground and said, "Elder Hu, please spare my life. There is no more underworld water." Since the Black Merchant House dared to set up the soul-extinguishing tower in the various cultivator cities, they naturally could afford the rewards for clearing the tower. Furthermore, the reason why Wu Yin kept using all sorts of excuses to say that Tang Ao had cheated after he cleared the tower was that he had used most of the items in the 5th floor and above. Among them, he had used the underworld water to break through to the Yin-Yang realm not long ago. Chapter 2656. I only have 1 portion of underworld soul water on me. The missing portion will be delivered to the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce within 3 days. Brother Bai Zhan, we will meet again. At this moment, Hu Yang was furious. A mere attendant dared to use him. And Tang Ao, a puny astral-reaching ant, dared to take away a portion of soul-extinguishing water from him. Something like soul-extinguishing water was extremely useful even for experts like Hu Yang. After 3 days, soul-extinguishing water could not be used, and would need to be refined in the underworld river. However, if stored in a special container, underworld soul water could be preserved for a long time. After leaving a soul remembrance imprint on Tang Ao's body, Hu Yang's figure flickered, disappearing without a trace. Tang Ao took out a snow-white jade pendant from the storage ring that Hu Yang had given him. The jade pendant exuded an aura of fusion, causing people to feel a sense of tranquility. Bai Lu originally thought that Tang Ao was going to give this jade pendant to her. However, what she didn't expect was that after Tang Ao played with the jade pendant for a while, his expression changed, and he immediately put it away. Seeing this, Bai Lu was somewhat angry. However, she didn't ask Tang Ao for it. A jade pendant like this, if Bai Lu wanted it, could be easily obtained. Since Tang Ao was unwilling to give it to her, then forget it. Let's call it a day. I'll go back and rest. Bai Lu was in a bad mood. Clearly, she wasn't in the mood to continue playing. Seeing Bai Lu leave in a huff, Tang Ao was somewhat helpless. This jade pendant was simply not a good thing. The material used to refine this jade pendant seemed to be the incomparably precious soul-soothing jade, but in reality, it was only an immortal material that was extremely similar to the soul-soothing jade. This immortal material was called soul-soothing jade. Although there was only a difference of one word, the effects of the two were as different as heaven and earth. Soul-soothing jade was an inauspicious item that martial artists avoided. Although it also had the effect of calming the mind, it could also corrode the martial artist's soul remembrance. Moreover, this corroding process was extremely slow and practically undetectable. When you realize that your soul remembrance has been corroded, then your time of death has arrived. If it wasn't for the birth of a soul sea in Tang Ao's body, and the appearance of a crack in a corner of his soul sea moments after Tang Ao received the jade pendant, Tang Ao wouldn't have known that this was not a jade pendant made of soul-soothing jade, but a jade pendant made of soul-suppressing jade. Because Bai Lu had asked Tang Ao to pretend to be a couple for 7 days, Tang Ao and Bai Lu lived in the same courtyard. There was a small pavilion in the courtyard. The gentle moonlight shone on the pavilion, enveloping it with a thin layer of gauze. Bai Lu rested her chin on her hands and looked at the reflection of the moon in the lake. She was still angry at Tang Ao. Later, Bai Lu thought that she and Tang Ao had nothing to do with each other, so it was reasonable for Tang Ao not to give her the jade pendant. Bai Lu became even angrier at this thought. But at this moment, Bai Lu didn't know why she was angry anymore. Putong. Bai Lu looked at the reflection of the moon in the lake and was lost in thought. A stone flew into the water, causing the lake water to splash up. Bai Lu couldn't dodge in time, and the water droplet landed on Bai Lu's pure white and flawless face. Who is it? Bai Lu stood up angrily and released her soul remembrance in all directions. However, before Bai Lu dared to stand up, she was pulled back by someone and promptly sat back down. Chapter 2657. Who wants to drink with a hateful person like you? Bai Lu felt her heart pounding, but she still got up immediately. This time, when Tang Ao reached out to pull Bai Lu smiled slyly. Her figure flashed, and she grabbed Tang Ao's arm. Then, she circulated her celestial spiritual energy and threw Tang Ao into the lake. Tang Ao really didn't expect this little girl to do this. When Tang Ao came back to his senses, Tang Ao was already soaking in the ice-cold lake water. Seeing Tang Ao's sorry state, Bai Lu smiled proudly. When Tang Ao saw Bai Lu's exquisite face, he was a little dazed. After shaking his head, Tang Ao smiled bitterly. Then, Tang Ao's celestial spiritual energy shook, and he flew out of the lake. The nether flame wrapped around his body, and the water vapor instantly evaporated. You're not angry now? Tang Ao asked casually as he poured himself a cup of wine. Who said I'm angry? This is my family's wine, why are you drinking it alone? Bai Lu said as she lifted the wine pot and poured herself a cup of wine. At the same time, she picked up her chopsticks and ate the 2 dishes, as if she didn't eat first. Tang Ao would take advantage of her. This is for you, Tang Ao said as he threw a transparent blue bracelet over. It's so beautiful. Seeing the bracelet, Bai Lu was extremely happy, but she still said, who wants something from you." As she spoke, she grabbed the bracelet and was about to throw it into the lake. But before Bai Lu could throw the bracelet away, Tang Ao grabbed her wrist. Then, under Bai Lu's shocked gaze, Tang Ao grabbed the bracelet and put it on Bai Lu's wrist. The jade pendant from before was refined from the god-suppressing jade. "If you like it, I'll give it to you as well," Tang Ao said as he took out a jade pendant wrapped in a black cloth. Even though Tang Ao had a soul sea, Tang Ao was not willing to come into direct contact with this kind of artifact that was refined from the soul suppression jade. Ah! Bai Lu was shocked. She didn't expect that the jade pendant she wanted was made of soul-suppressing jade. Soul-suppressing jade was also called morning god jade. As long as one had something made of morning god jade, their soul remembrance would begin to decay. However, the process was so subtle that even a chaotic heaven stage powerhouse wouldn't be able to detect it. The morning soul jade was one of the most vicious refining materials. As long as this refining material was found, it would immediately be burnt by many cultivators. Bai Lu didn't think that the black merchant house would dare to do anything. They even dared to use the morning god jade to refine artifacts to harm people. "How did you know that the jade pendant was refined from the morning god jade?" Bai Lu didn't doubt Tang Ao, but she still couldn't help but ask. "Forget it, I won't ask. Everyone has their own secret. Moreover, I believe you." Bai Lu pouted and said embarrassedly, "Thank you, Senior Tang Ao." She was thanking Tang Ao for not casually throwing the jade pendant refined from the morning god jade to her. She was also thanking Tang Ao for giving her this bracelet. This bracelet was refined from pure gold sand that had 90% of its impurities removed. It was only a third-grade immortal artifact, but it had been refined 3 times using the spirit refinement forging technique. This showed Tang Ao's sincerity. "What are you thanking me for? Aren't we a couple?" "It's what I should do," Tang Ao said casually as he drank. "Tang Ao, you actually have bad thoughts about me." Bai Lu could obviously tell that Tang Ao was making fun of her. Chapter 2658. Tang Ao was a martial artist from a low-level plane called the Black-Yellow Continent. He had joined the Chamber of Commerce in the Ruins of Immortality, and was now ranked 3rd on the destiny list of the Chamber of Commerce. The Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce and the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce were not enemies, but they were competitors. Tang Ao was a warrior that the Immortal Ruins Chamber of Commerce focused on nurturing. This made Bai Xingyan suspect that Tang Ao had ulterior motives for getting close to Bai Lu. Just as Bai Xingyan was about to discuss with Elder Lu how to deal with the relationship between Tang Ao and Bai Lu, he noticed that Elder Lu's eyes were wide open as he watched Bai Lu and Tang Ao play in the distance. "Master," Bai Xingyan called out softly. However, Elder Lu was too engrossed to hear him. Bai Xingyan was helpless and called out again, "Master Lu." This time, Lu Zixing finally came back to his senses. When he saw Bai Xingyan beside him, Elder Lu immediately said earnestly, "Xingyan, are you very free? Why are you here instead of dealing with the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce?" Bai Xingyan was at a loss for words. The reason Bai Xingyan had come here was because he was worried about his precious daughter. As soon as he arrived, he saw that Lu Zixing was also here, so Bai Xingyan also came. "Oh, I understand. You're worried about your precious daughter, right? With me here, that Tang Ao won't dare to act rashly. Don't worry, don't worry. Go and do your own things." Lu Zixing waved his hand impatiently. Bai Xingyan felt helpless. His master was a peak expert at the 9th level of the Turbid Heaven Realm, half a step into the Tao Master Realm. However, although Lu Zixing was old, he still had the temperament of a child. At this moment, Lu Zixing only thought that Tang Ao and Bai Lu were playing. Why would he stop them? However, Bai Xingyan sighed helplessly and left. Lu Zixing was right. Bai Xingyan didn't come to Star River City for an ordinary reason. He had important matters to attend to. After Tang Ao dodged Bai Lu's sneak attack, he suddenly made a silent gesture. After sensing for a moment, Tang Ao said, "There's someone on the southeast rooftop." Tang Ao didn't see Lu Zixing, but he felt a mysterious celestial spirit force fluctuation. A trace of doubt flashed across Bai Lu's beautiful eyes. She then grabbed the wine jar and threw it over. Before the wine jug could fall to the ground, a figure suddenly leaped out from the rooftop and grabbed the wine jug. Then, he started gulping down the wine. "What kind of wine is this? It's bland like water. Lousy, lousy." Tang Ao looked over and found that the person who spoke was an old man with white hair and a beard. This old man did not have the lethargy of an old man. Instead, he was full of energy. What shocked Tang Ao the most was that under Tang Ao's soul remembrance detection, this elder was actually just a normal person. There wasn't a single trace of immortal essence on him. However, Tang Ao definitely didn't think this old man was a normal person. This old man had been on the roof for a long time. At such a close distance, Tang Ao's soul remembrance hadn't discovered him. Grandpa Lu. Seeing this old man, Bai Lu was very happy. In the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce, Bai Lu didn't like many people, but Lu Zixing. Bai Lu liked to play with him since she was young. Lu Zixing was Bai Lu's father's master and Bai Lu's advisor. However, Lu Zixing didn't have the airs of an advisor at all. Instead, he was more like a child who loved to play. Chapter 2659. Tang Ao knew that Lu Zixing's technique was a very powerful escape technique. Tang Ao had seen Thought of the Nine Heavens escape technique before. Although Thought of the Nine Heavens Purple Thunder heavenly escape technique was more powerful than Lu Zixing's escape technique, Lu Zixing's escape technique was equally exquisite. Furthermore, Tang Ao was a little puzzled as to why Lu Zixing had brought him and Bai Lu to this place. The Galaxy Tower had 18 floors and was the tallest building in Galaxy City. From the top of the Galaxy Tower, one could see the entire Galaxy City. "Grandfather Lu, why did you bring us here?" Bai Lu was also very puzzled. She didn't know why Lu Zixing had brought her and Tang Ao here. "What advice does Senior have for us?" Tang Ao cupped his fists at Lu Zixing. Until now, Tang Ao still couldn't see Lu Zixing's cultivation level. When Tang Ao had used the sky polar eyes to look, he had only seen a blurry illusion, so he couldn't be sure. However, there was one thing that Tang Ao was very sure of. Lu Zixing was definitely a celestial turbid realm expert, and was much stronger than Bai Zhan and Hu Yang. When facing Bai Zhan and Hu Yang, Tang Ao was very confident that he could escape. However, when facing Lu Zixing, Tang Ao felt that he wouldn't be able to escape at all. "Stupid!" Lu Zixing raised his hand and knocked on Tang Ao and Bai Lu's heads. Then, he said, "Of course, I brought you here to play." "Play?" Tang Ao and Bai Lu asked at the same time, puzzled. "Yes." Lu Zixing nodded with certainty. Then, under Tang Ao and Bai Lu's surprised gazes, 2 talismans flashed in Lu Zixing's hands and entered Tang Ao and Bai Lu's bodies. In an instant, Tang Ao's expression changed drastically. Tang Ao instantly realized that he could not sense his immortal essence power at all. It was the same for his psyche. Apart from his immortal essence power and psyche, Tang Ao had also lost contact with his life soul. Not only that, Tang Ao's great desolate immortal body, which had been cultivated to the Yuan stage, was also instantly sealed. At this moment, Tang Ao suddenly felt a sense of weakness that he had never felt before. Ever since he started cultivating, Tang Ao's cultivation and soul remembrance had continuously increased. Even though he had been injured several times, he was not as weak as he was now. Tang Ao could feel that his immortal spiritual power and soul remembrance hadn't decreased at all, but he couldn't use any of it. In other words, the current Tang Ao had directly returned to a state where he had not cultivated at all. Beside Tang Ao, Bai Lu did the same. Grandpa Lu, stop messing around. Hurry up and help us undo the spiritual power seal. That won't do. This spiritual power seal will automatically undo itself in 24 hours. Until then, you two have fun. I'll be leaving first. Lu Zixing said as his immortal essence moved and disappeared without a trace. Tang Ao was stupefied, not knowing what this old man was trying to do. Looking at Bai Lu's similarly confused gaze, Tang Ao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Tang Ao didn't expect Bai Lu to have such an interesting elder. Hiss, a gust of cold wind blew, and Tang Ao suddenly shivered from the cold. Tang Ao was startled. Under normal circumstances, with Tang Ao's cultivation base at the 5th level of the astral reaching realm, this bit of cold chi was nothing. But now, Lu Zixing had completely sealed his and Bai Lu's immortal spiritual power. Tang Ao didn't doubt that if he didn't take any measures, he might really die of cold here. This sentence sounded very funny, but Tang Ao and Bai Lu couldn't bring themselves to laugh. Bai Lu lived in Star River City all year round, so she naturally knew how cold winter nights were. Because of the protection of immortal spiritual power, the two were both wearing unlined clothes. Now that the cold wind blew, the bone-chilling feeling made their expressions change. Grandpa Lu, stop messing around. Hurry up and help me undo it. Bai Lu was speechless. Even if Lu Zixing wanted to play, he couldn't do it like this. However, after Bai Lu shouted a few times, Lu Zixing didn't respond at all. Grandpa Lu, I know a fun place. Help me undo it and I'll take you there, okay? Bai Lu didn't give up and continued to call Lu Zixing. However, Lu Zixing really didn't seem to be there. No matter how Bai Lu called, Lu Zixing didn't appear. Chapter 2660. Senior Lu, we'll die like this. Tang Ao had no choice but to shout along with Bai Lu. However, when the two of them were shivering from the cold, Lu Zixing didn't appear. Looking at the shivering Bai Lu, Tang Ao took off his robe and put it on Bai Lu. If Lu Zixing had only bound Tang Ao's immortal spiritual force and psyche, then Tang Ao wouldn't have been worried at all. Given the strength of Tang Ao's great desolate immortal body, even if Tang Ao was thrown into an ice cave, he would be fine, let alone this kind of cold. However, Tang Ao couldn't feel that his constitution was a powerful essence body at all. Lu Zixing had used some unknown method, but Tang Ao's body was like a mortal who had never cultivated. He was extremely weak. After giving the robe to Bai Lu, Tang Ao was also shivering from the cold. Bai Lu couldn't help but laugh when she saw Tang Ao's appearance. To think that you can still smile. Tang Ao felt somewhat speechless. Tang Ao had seen his fair share of chaotic heaven stage experts. However, it was Tang Ao's first time seeing someone like Lu Zixing. Although Lu Zixing had bound his immortal spiritual force, Tang Ao was very interested in Lu Zixing's seal technique. If he used this seal technique to bind his opponent in battle, then Tang Ao would really be invincible among people of the same level. However, after sensing for a while, Tang Ao realized that things weren't that simple. Lu Zixing could bind his immortal spiritual force and psyche because Lu Zixing's strength was much stronger than Tang Ao's. If Lu Zixing's cultivation was the same as Tang Ao's, then Lu Zixing definitely wouldn't be able to bind Tang Ao's immortal spiritual force. As Tang Ao was thinking, a warm body leaned against Tang Ao. Tang Ao lifted his head and saw Bai Lu sitting beside him. She draped the long robe over both of them. In this freezing weather, it was easy for a person's body temperature to drop, but when the two of them leaned against each other, they actually began to warm up. On a tall building in the distance, Lu Zixing was eating a chicken drumstick while looking at Tang Ao with great interest. Lu Zixing laughed out loud when he saw the two little fellows leaning against each other. With a flash, he disappeared completely. After living in Galaxy City for so many years, I never imagined that the winter nights here would be so cold, Bai Lu whispered as she leaned against Tang Ao. Sensing that Bai Lu was still trembling slightly, Tang Ao didn't think much and reached out to hug her. The coldness of Galaxy City's winter nights was beyond Tang Ao's imagination. There were no ordinary people in the Star River City. Even if one's cultivation was weak, they would still have cultivated. This was because in Galaxy City's winter nights, if one didn't have spiritual power to protect their body, they would definitely freeze to death. After Tang Ao and Bai Lu sat in the Galaxy Tower for half an hour, snowflakes suddenly fell from the sky. Snowflakes were extremely beautiful, but at this moment, the last thing Tang Ao wanted to see was snowflakes. At the top of the Galaxy Tower was an empty platform without any shelter. Tang Ao and Bai Lu didn't even have a place to hide from the snow. After the snowflakes fell from the sky, the surrounding air became even colder. Tang Ao's hair and eyebrows were covered with a layer of frost. Tang Ao knew that if this continued, he and Bai Lu would really freeze to death here. At this time, Tang Ao couldn't care less. Tang Ao took a deep breath and shouted towards the bottom of the Galaxy Tower, "Help!" Chapter 2661. Tang Ao shouted more than 10 times, but he didn't even see a shadow. Tang Ao was secretly anxious. Tang Ao's expression was very funny, but Bai Lu, who was beside him, couldn't laugh. Bai Lu felt that her blood was about to freeze. Bai Lu wasn't very worried just now because she knew that although Lu Zixing liked to play, he had a sense of propriety. As long as Lu Zixing was done playing, or if she and Tang Ao were in danger, Lu Zixing would definitely come to release the immortal essence restraints on them. However, they didn't know what had happened. The two obviously couldn't hold on any longer, but Lu Zixing still didn't show up. At this moment, Tang Ao was also very angry with Lu Zixing. If Tang Ao and Bai Lu died here today, it would all be because of Lu Zixing. Outside Galaxy City, Lu Zixing's aura fluctuated. Lu Zixing had come here because he had been lured out. At this moment, there were 4 warriors around Lu Zixing. Although the 4 of them were wearing masks, Lu Zixing sneered and pointed at a warrior wearing a red mask. "Hu Yang, why did you wear a big flowery mask out of nowhere? You're making me laugh to death." Hearing Lu Zixing's words, Hu Yang was shocked, but he quickly understood. Although Lu Zixing looked crazy, he was actually very smart. Lu Zixing was obviously testing him. Hu Yang snorted and said, "Lu Zixing, Langya Realm is the territory of our Chamber of Commerce. As an expert of the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce, don't you think it's inappropriate for you to come here? Didn't the 4 of you change your auras to hide your identities? If one of you is a cultivator from the Immortal Ruin Chamber of Commerce, I will kill myself here," Lu Zixing said as he looked at the 4 of them. Hearing Lu Zixing's words, the expressions of the 4 people under the masks changed slightly. Lu Zixing was right. They wore masks that concealed their auras because they were worried that Lu Zixing would recognize them. If it was really a warrior of the Chamber of Commerce looking for trouble, why would he say so much nonsense? Originally, Hu Yang thought that with the strength of the 4 of them, they should be able to quickly kill the 7th stage Turbid Heaven stage Lu Zixing. However, Hu Yang had never expected that the Black Merchant Building's information would be so wrong. Not only was Lu Zixing not at level 7 Celestial Turbid Realm, but he was at the peak of level 9 Celestial Turbid Realm, a half-step Dao Master. If Hu Yang hadn't been cautious this time, and invited the other 3 people to attack Lu Zixing together, then there wouldn't be Hu Yang in this world. Even so, after Hu Yang and the other 3 joined forces, they could only fight to a draw with Lu Zixing. Moreover, this was because Lu Zixing had been distracted, as if there was something important waiting for him to do. Otherwise, Hu Yang reckoned that if Lu Zixing went all out, they could only run for their lives. However, delaying now was the result that Hu Yang wanted to see. Among the 4 of them, Hu Yang was the only one from the Black Merchant House, But there was another expert at the 9th level of the turbid heaven realm nearby. When that expert came again, today would be the day of Hu Yang's death. The longer they delayed, the faster Lu Zixing would die. Chapter 2662. In Tang Ao's arms, Bai Lu's situation was not much better than Tang Ao's. At first, the two of them could still warm each other up, but as time passed, their body temperatures dropped rapidly and frostbite appeared on their skin. Now, Tang Ao only felt that his body was numb. Tang Ao wanted to pat the snow off his body, but he couldn't do it. Tang! Bai Lu opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but she couldn't say anything. After feeling that she couldn't even speak, Bai Lu smiled bitterly in her heart. Bai Lu had never imagined that she would freeze to death on the roof of the Galaxy Tower. At that moment, Bai Lu still had a glimmer of hope in her heart. That was, her father had sensed that her soul card had weakened and come looking for her. However, Bai Lu never expected that after Lu Zixing was besieged, Lu Zixing would immediately send a message to Bai Xingyan. At that moment, Lu Zixing and Bai Xingyan had joined forces to deal with 6 top-notch powerhouses at the Celestial Turbid Realm. On the surface, there were no more than 20 Celestial Turbid Realm powerhouses in the entire Langya realm. It was very rare to see 6 Celestial Turbid Realm powerhouses fighting at the same time. Because of this, many cultivators from Galaxy City and the surrounding cities were attracted to the battle. Just by watching from the sidelines, they would be able to greatly improve their own martial art. Of course, watching such a battle was also dangerous. Once one of the powerhouses made a mistake, the surrounding martialists might be instantly blasted to smithereens. Everyone obviously understood this. Therefore, although they went to watch the battle, they were very far away. When her consciousness turned muddy, Lu Zixing and Bai Xingyan still hadn't appeared. Bai Lu smiled bitterly and closed her eyes. At that moment, Bai Lu's aura also became weaker. Seeing this scene, Tang Ao hugged Bai Lu tighter. Unfortunately, Tang Ao's body was also abnormally cold, so he couldn't give Bai Lu any warmth. As he felt his consciousness start to blur, Tang Ao bit the tip of his tongue. The intense pain woke Tang Ao up instantly. Tang Ao knew that if he closed his eyes now, they would be closed forever. At this time, he absolutely could not fall asleep. Tang Ao's heart was filled with unwillingness. Just a little bit of cold had actually put him in such a difficult situation, and even put his life in danger. It should be noted that Tang Ao possessed the Fire Dao Law within his body. The Fire Dao Law was the origin of all the flames in the world. If a cultivator with the Fire Dao froze to death, it would be a huge joke. Tang Ao did not know if there were any other owners of the Fire Dao rule. However, if he were to really freeze to death, then Tang Ao would most likely be the most tragic one. When he thought about the Fire Dao Law in his body, Tang Ao made up his mind. He staked everything on this and started to communicate with the Fire Dao Law in his heart. However, just like before, even though he was completely restrained, Tang Ao could still sense the existence of the Fire Dao Law. However, no matter how hard Tang Ao tried, Tang Ao still couldn't communicate with the Dao Law of Fire. No, I can't accept this. Tang Ao roared in his heart as he constantly sensed the Dao Law of Fire in his body. However, the Fire Dao Law seemed to be eternal and unchanging. No matter how hard Tang Ao tried, it didn't waver at all. Sensing that Bai Lu's aura was getting weaker, Tang Ao became even more anxious. Bai Lu couldn't make it, and Tang Ao couldn't hold on much longer either. Chapter 2663. At the sight of this, Tang Ao suddenly became furious. This Fire Dao Law had been residing within his body, but it had never been of any use. Even now, when Tang Ao was on the verge of perishing, the Fire Dao Law was still unwilling to lend a helping hand. In that case, what was the use of the Fire Dao Law? As his thoughts reached this point, Tang Ao's mind turned, intending to expel the Fire Dao Law. However, right at this moment, a scorching flame suddenly erupted from within Tang Ao's body. Tang Ao jumped in fright. Tang Ao had no doubt that this flame would burn him to ashes under such circumstances. Tang Ao could clearly feel that when he was about to expel the Fire Dao Law, the Fire Dao Law was filled with a furious emotion. It felt as if the Fire Dao Law was the master, and Tang Ao was merely a guest lodging within the Nine Dragons' Emperor Jade body. Although this statement was absurd, it couldn't be any more true. The flame surging from the Fire Dao Law didn't burn Tang Ao to ashes, because at this moment, a cracking sound suddenly came from within Tang Ao's body. Immediately, Tang Ao felt his body lighten, and the previous restraint disappeared. Moreover, Tang Ao's cultivation base also advanced from 5th level astral reaching realm to 6th level astral reaching realm. Tang Ao didn't have the time to be happy about his advancement. Without any hesitation, the Jade Bone Life Spirit instantly turned into a green light and flew into Bai Lu's body. Then, the netherworld flame swept out, and the surrounding ice and snow instantly evaporated, dissipating into nothingness. Bai Lu opened her eyes tiredly and saw the dazzling netherworld flame enveloping the surroundings like stars. At this moment, she was in Tang Ao's embrace. Not a trace of cold could be felt. "Junior sister Bai Lu, are you all right?" Seeing Bai Lu wake up, Tang Ao also let out a sigh of relief. Just a moment ago, Tang Ao himself felt like he was a lamp that had run out of oil. Bai Lu's body was much weaker than Tang Ao's, and it was even more difficult for her to endure that kind of cold. Bai Lu didn't say anything. She shook her head, indicating that she was fine. Tang Ao was overjoyed and immediately said, "I'll help you break the spirit force restriction first, then I'll find Lu Zixing later." Although Tang Ao was only at the 6th level of astral reaching realm, Tang Ao had a sky thunder seed on him. If Lu Zixing couldn't explain, then he shouldn't blame Tang Ao for being impolite. Previously, the reason why Tang Ao was restrained by Lu Zixing was not only because Lu Zixing's cultivation was too high, but also because Lu Zixing was Bai Lu's elder, so Tang Ao was not on guard at all. Otherwise, if it was a head-on battle and he encountered an expert like Lu Zixing, Tang Ao could just use the Heavenly Lightning Seed and use the Thunder Shadow Phantom Body to escape. Even Lu Zixing didn't have the ability to chase after Tang Ao while facing the Heavenly Lightning Bombs. At this moment, a figure flew over from afar at lightning speed. Seeing that Tang Ao had already used the netherworld flame to cover the surroundings, Lu Zixing's eyes were filled with disbelief. "Bastard kid, why didn't you say so earlier? You made your grandpa Lu suffer 2 palms. Alright, I'm going to help your father." After saying this, Lu Zixing's figure flickered, flying into the distance once again. Originally, Tang Ao thought that Lu Zixing was deliberately teasing the two, but seeing that Lu Zixing's aura was fluctuating, it was clear that after being injured, Tang Ao had also calmed down. Lu Zixing clearly remembered that Tang Ao and Bai Lu were here, but for some reason, Lu Zixing seemed to be trapped by a very powerful guy. Chapter 2664. Tang Ao had already decided that when his cultivation level increased, he would also throw Lu Zixing to the top of the pagoda to freeze for a night. If Tang Ao hadn't saved himself, Lu Zixing would have come at this time. Although Tang Ao and Bai Lu could have been saved by Lu Zixing, their foundations would have been damaged. Lu Zixing's binding Madra technique looked very powerful after binding Tang Ao and Bai Lu. However, Tang Ao quickly discovered the problem. If anyone injected a strand of immortal spiritual force into a bound person, Lu Zixing's binding Madra technique would instantly be broken. The binding Madra technique that had tortured Tang Ao and Bai Lu to death was now easily broken by Tang Ao. "Senior brother Tang Ao, don't be angry at Grandpa Lu. Let's go and see what's going on. Bai Lu could faintly feel waves of powerful immortal essence spreading in all directions. She could feel the powerful immortal essence waves from so far away. It was obvious that an earth-shattering battle was taking place in the distance. Tang Ao nodded. Before Bai Lu could use her movement technique, Tang Ao hugged Bai Lu. He used Thunder Shadow Phantom Body and instantly arrived at the place where the few people were fighting. At this moment, the surroundings were filled with cultivators. Everyone stared unblinkingly at the 8 chaotic Heaven Realm powerhouses fighting in the air. On the surface, Langya Realm only had 10 chaotic Heaven Realm powerhouses. Now that 8 had appeared at once, it could be said that all the chaotic Heaven Realm powerhouses of Langya Realm, except for 2 cultivators who hadn't appeared yet. However, there were also cultivators who knew that none of the chaotic Heaven Realm powerhouses fighting in the air were from Langya Realm. No one knew the identity of the 6 cultivators wearing immortal artifact masks, but they could vaguely guess some things. The other 2 were the president of the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce and the Grand Elder of the Starry Sky Chamber of Commerce, Lu Zixing. Under the siege of the other 6, although Lu Zixing and Bai Xingyan were powerful, they gradually fell into a disadvantage. Seeing this, Bai Lu became very anxious. She really couldn't understand why 6 turbid Heaven Realm experts would suddenly ambush her father in the Langya Realm. Although the Starry Sky Commerce wasn't a local merchant association of the Langya Realm, it had always had a very good friendship with the Langya Realm. The Langya Realm Realm Lord was also friends with her father. Why was it that the experts from the Realm Lord's manor didn't come out to help them after such a long time? Looking at the 6 warriors surrounding her father and Lu Zixing in the air, Bai Lu suddenly had a bad feeling. Every region of the Langya Realm was overseen by a chaotic Heaven Realm expert. The chaotic Heaven Stage powerhouse overseeing this area was called Luo Zizhang. Although Luo Zizhang was quite far away, the battle had been going on for so long. There was no reason for Luo Zizhang not to appear. Therefore, Bai Lu guessed that Luo Zizhang had either been killed by these 6 warriors, or he was one of them. As Bai Lu was panicking, Tian Liangguang suddenly brought a group of people to Bai Lu and Tang Ao's side. After seeing this Tian Liangguang, Tang Ao's heart suddenly stirred. Just now, when Tang Ao looked at the 6 people in the air, he felt that 2 of them were a little familiar. One of them was Tang Ao's previous Huyang, but Tang Ao couldn't remember who the other person was. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.